Howdy, y'all. Welcome to Liberty Libations number 81. There's the sound you all wait for. Joined as always by Alden, Hardee, and Stephen Hilton. And tonight our special guest is Mr. Ken Good. Ken, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
I've only got water, damn it.
Well, our guest last week only had water too, and it's all good. We don't judge here. So, can you tell the folks who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Ken Good. I am one of those lowly attorneys. I'm in Texas. I've been practicing law for over 30 years, probably over 34 years now, because I'm really, really old. But I'm also married to a woman another attorney, and she is a staff attorney for a federal U.S. magistrate judge here in Tyler. We live here in Tyler. I have an office in Tyler and in Houston, and we have two girls. Probably the most important thing I would say about myself is I am a dad of two girls. But I have specialized in bail law for the last 15, 20 years, probably longer than 20 years, and have written many articles now after kind of digging in and diving into all these issues. And I started doing it because I sit through this case and I'm like, this judge is wrong. She is ruling going down the wrong road. And this is going to be bad because it turned out to be an important case and it's been cited across the country. Well, the problem is she was wrong. She's been reversed 7 or 8 times. And the Fifth Circuit in its last ruling reversed that case and said it should have never been filed in federal court. And we're still suffering the consequences of all the bad decisions that, in my opinion, that were made in that case. So I have started, because no one else wants to tell this side of the story. No one else wants to tell what I think are actually is the true side of the story. So that's what I've tried to do. And I've written a lot of articles doing that.
Nice. Love it. We're going to get to bail reform in just a minute. But for those out there, this podcast is brought to you by Rabbit Eye Wine. You can see the little rabbit right there. Rabbit Eye Wine, best blueberry wine in all of Georgia. Go pick yourself. Good Lord. Sometimes I just lose my words. Go pick up a bottle. If you live in Georgia, order one. If you don't, you can order from their website and they'll ship it right to your door. So Rabbit Eye Wine, it's friggin' delicious. I've got, 6 bottles right next to me. So I think a couple of those belong to Alden and Stephen. All right. Okay. So Ken, we're going to talk about bail reform for the first little bit of this episode because we only got you for about 20 or 30 minutes, depending on how long you need to stay. First of all, what was it that made you get involved in bail reform as an attorney? Like what drove you down that road?
Okay, so I've always been kind of an appellate attorney. I came out of I was in competitions in law school and was on some national teams, won some national awards. And so when I came out of law school, I went to a law firm. They offered me a job in Dallas or Tyler, and I picked Tyler. And I got hooked up with a guy who was probably one of the best trial attorneys in what I think in the state. And so, but they were very gracious. They allowed me to continue my interest in appellate work and legal issues. And so I've always just kind of went down the road of arguing legal issues. When we were doing medical malpractice, defending doctors and hospitals, we were on court TV. And, I had a lot of cases that went up on appeal. I went to a seminar and they had a section on new and interesting appellate cases. 3 of the 5 were my cases. And so when I started doing, so a bondsman got in trouble. They had a bunch of default judgments, and he asked somebody, well, who do you hire to do default judgments? And they said, oh, you need an appellate attorney. And someone recommended me. And so we fixed that for him. And then over time, word of mouth spread, and I started representing more issues in the bail world. And I represent several insurance companies in Texas. Mm-hmm. I'm on the board of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. I'm on their legislative committee. I've proposed bills to the legislature. I've opposed bills. I go to testify to the legislature, and I've argued cases at the Court of Criminal Appeals in the bail world. Because in Texas, we have 2 high courts, one for criminal, one for civil, and bail is governed by the criminal court. So I argued 2 cases and won them at the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. And so that's kind of what got me down. I kind of developed my own little practice on dealing with bail issues. And then I've already mentioned what got me interested in the national issues about bail reform. because I was asked to go attend a hearing, and the judge showed that she did not have a very strong understanding of the issues, and that she was making wrong decisions and going down the wrong road. And I think history has proven me right on that. And I don't know anyone else that was taking my side of the positions, which have ultimately won.
Okay, so what were the incorrect positions from your point of view that she was taking?
Well, okay, so on the case is O'Donnell versus Harris County, one of the first cases on bail reform.
Mhm.
And one of the issues that is called younger abstention. And it's should the federal courts abstain from hearing the issue if there's a remedy at the state level? She said no. At the Fifth Circuit ultimately said you abstain. And she actually refused to do that at the very end. She just dismissed it on other grounds. The second thing is, what's the standard of, what's the scrutiny? Because it's equal protection due process arguments. And, if we apply heightened scrutiny, that's a level where the party suing always wins. But if it's a rational basis standard or review, then that's a standard that the government always wins. She applied a heightened standard, and I thought that was wrong, and I was critical of her analysis on that. And what the federal court ultimately ruled is, once you put procedures in place, then those procedures take you back to a rational basis review. Next thing, she wanted since she found procedural violations, she imposed a remedy of release. And the Fifth Circuit ultimately said, you don't get release. Since you identified a procedural problem, you get a procedural remedy. And then the big one was, she was arguing that judges could be sued under 42 U.S.C. 1983, which is the federal civil rights statute. And historically, judges can't be sued in those types of cases. She ruled that when judges establish a bail schedule, that they're acting as policymakers. That takes them outside of their their judge status, and they could be sued. The Fifth Circuit initially affirmed that, but then on banc review, reversed it and said judges can't be sued. Anytime a judge is setting bail, even if they're using a bail schedule, they're state actors, which is the reason why they can't be sued in these types of cases. Right. And that's the ultimate reason why they said this case should have never been filed in federal court, because it's against judges under 42 U.S.C. 1983, and they can't be sued in those types of cases. And so there's more. There's like 7 or 8 rulings that she was ultimately reversed on by the Fifth Circuit. There was even a second appeal where the judges were asking for a stay. The Fifth Circuit's never had a hearing or an argument on a request for a stay, and they had they had a hearing on it, and then they ruled that they were going to stay her decision because the judges had a high likelihood of success. In the meantime, there was election. All the judges who were opposing the suit got defeated. New judges who promised to settle were elected. They all settled and gave in, and they were complaining, we have to settle. We've spent $8 million defending this case. Well, they settled and then spent over $100 million implementing the settlement to create complete chaos and increase crime. So that's just a few of the things that I can mention. I can mention even more. It's that crazy.
What a crazy example of like a massive amount of time and resources wasted because of one person making multiple bad decisions repeatedly.
The scary part is, this law firm that brought this suit is the same firm that's bringing these cases across the country. And when they lose, they don't change their argument. They still file a new suit in a different jurisdiction, making the exact same arguments. They don't even point out, hey, we lost that argument. And they don't even point out saying, hey, the Fifth Circuit said we should have never filed suit in federal court. They keep filing and making the same arguments.
Wow.
So the Ninth Circuit would love to hear it, from what I understand.
Well, you would think so. I think that, ultimately that was their goal, was to file cases in the Ninth Circuit. The Fifth Circuit set up a conflict and get to the U.S. Supreme Court on the issue of whether bail was substantively constitutional. You just can't have private surety bail. But the 11th Circuit and the Fifth Circuit both ruled that bail is constitutional. The Ninth Circuit hadn't tried to rule it unconstitutional. And so right now, all the circuits that have ruled on it have all said it's constitutional. And so it's going to be hard for them to change that.
Well, Brian says suing anyone for any reason is the American way. It's definitely turned into an American way.
You know, I read an article recently that talked about attorneys and their being active in politics, and that historically attorneys haven't been Republican or Democrat, but but that's something that's changed. And the reason why it's changed is because we know that when the Democrat Party is in control, we're going to have more regulations, and more regulations leads to more litigation. And so the argument from the article was that attorneys have become more Democrat because they believe that they can make more money as with Democrats in office. And so it's just out of, they're helping themselves than what's best for the country.
Yeah, responding to incentives. It's generally how people operate. So
Democrats love making new rules. I mean, that's
well. And look at the latest one that Biden did. He's been saying for years he can't do anything. He can't do an executive order on immigration. And then what did he do yesterday? He issued an executive order on immigration. The fact that we have an election in 4 months, that doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just the Republicans won't do anything, and so this is an issue that's just killing me. And so I got to do something now, or look like I'm doing something 4 months before the election.
I mean, to be fair, he probably has no idea there's an election in 4 months.
I am sure his wife tells him every day that he has an election in 4 months.
The biggest election in his mind is what flavor ice cream to have.
I mean, that is something that we laugh about, but it does highlight that there's a lot of things going on in politics I take a grain of salt on. Mm-hmm. And the argument that Trump, this is just a political thing, politicalization to get him out of the election. Take it with a grain of salt. He's kind of given them the bullets that they're shooting him with, but it does make a lot of sense when you're looking at arguments that they've never made before, and they're combining a misdemeanor with a felony, which they never would identify, to make it a crime that was not barred by statute of limitations. And how do you get a unanimous jury suddenly? When the judge is saying, well, you don't have to be unanimous on what the second crime was. You could be divided on that, and that's still a unanimous verdict. That doesn't make sense. And then I would also discount this argument that Biden is just an incompetent buffoon. But when you see him and you see some of these videos and you see the White House saying, oh, these are cheap fakes. And I'm like, no, they're not. I mean, they're probably just as cheap fake. They're just as fake as the laptop for Hunter Biden that we had 50-something experts 4 years ago say was fake. And now you just used it as evidence, or the government just used it in evidence against Hunter, saying it wasn't. And so I would be saying, yeah, deep fake. It's just as fake as the laptop was.
Interesting. Well, I grew up in Texas. I've been to jail in Texas.
Which county?
I was in Dallas County. I don't remember what the bail, I don't remember what that situation was. I know my dad had to come bail me out, which was great. A whole lot of fun.
Yeah. That was a great drive home, wasn't it?
It wasn't awkward at all. It definitely wasn't a car filled with anger and disappointment.
Yeah. Grounding or talking about you're going to pay me back. Nothing to that.
I wasn't even living at the house at the time, so he couldn't ground me.
Oh, that made
crack
it
the
better.
windows to let some of that.
That just made it so much better.
Oh, it was one of the most painful days of all time. But yeah, I don't remember what my whole situation was as far as getting bailed out and everything. But can you give us what the scenario is right now in Texas for bail and what it is you're trying to reform? Well, what I'm trying to do is oppose these crazy reforms that are being proposed by the far left, because we hear that we need. Well, first we heard we've got to change bail because it's going to be declared unconstitutional. But now we have 2 appellate courts or circuit courts that have ruled that it's not. It is constitutional. So now the argument's changed. Oh, we just need to be more fair. We have systemic racism, and so we have to address that. And so we have to be more lenient on certain segments. And here's the point I make about that is, do you believe that we have disproportionate amount of crime being committed against our minority communities? And, the answer to that should be yes, because we do have more crime committed on our minority communities than the rest of the sector or the public. Well, the problem is crime by and large is committed
on the
By
same
other
race.
minorities.
The race is, if you're a minority, if you're that's having crime committed against you, it's usually that minority group that's committing crime against you. Look at this statistic. 50% of all murders in the United States are against young black males. So by and large, their murderers are young black males. And for some reason, this whole debate on bail reform, criminal justice reform, is we have to favor the young black male murderer over the young black male victim. And that's what we're seeing across the country, these simple release policies. So we're going to, the argument started, hey, we don't need to require bail for people to come to court. They're going to come anyway. They want to come to court. They want to resolve their charges. Well, we have so many stats coming out now that just show that that's not true. I mean, look, Yolo County, California, the DA released some stats that shows that that's just not true. I mean, I've interviewed him, and he said there's an 80% failure to appear rate on misdemeanor courts in across California because they do simple release. Harris County, Texas Houston is currently doing a simple release for misdemeanors mostly. And according to Harris County Court Watch, 80% failure to appear rate. 80% failure to appear rate means no one's coming to court. I mean, by and large, they're dismissing their cases because you can't take action against them if they're not coming to court. And that's what they want. They want to create chaos. They want to end accountability. And then, and I think that's their part of the coalition. I think that's their goal. Some people just, don't, some of them are well-intended, but they're just being taken advantage of. And then we've got these urban areas where they're just not prosecuting crime. I mean, look at California, where they took felony theft under $950, made it a misdemeanor, and then in the urban areas, they say, well, we're just not going to prosecute anymore. So it's now a free-for-all, $25,000 a day, shoplifting. Stores can't sustain that, so they're closing.
Yeah. And
businesses are now closing because they can't provide a safe place for their employees to work just to get from the garage to the building. I mean, the Nancy Pelosi building in San Francisco, they told them, work from home from now on because it's not safe for you to come to work. And what's the impact of that? Buildings are now, commercial buildings in San Francisco are selling for 50% of their value from a year ago.
Yeah.
30% of their value from a year ago. That's not sustainable. That's the reason why you see the mayors. What?
Did you hear what the city council wants to do to combat businesses closing because of crime?
What?
You have to give them a 9-month heads up, and you have to help them find your replacement, or you pay a fine.
Yeah, yeah.
They
have all kinds of crazy rules like that. Look at the graffiti rules. They won't prosecute anybody for doing graffiti, but if the businesses don't clean up the graffiti every morning, they get fined. I mean, it's like we want vigilante justice. It's what we want because we're not going to do it. We're not going to protect you. But the problem is if the government will not provide public safety, the public will demand it, and we'll have it in other ways because that's what our history is. And so I'm fighting that. I mean, we as a community deserve public safety, and they know what they're doing. I've interviewed several people from New York on the inside, people from California on the know, and then someone from the current DA from Harris County, and they've all said the same thing. They know the people doing this, from the left, they know what they're doing. They know it's increasing crime. They don't care, or they're okay with it.
Or
to
they do
their
care.
political agenda.
Right.
All they care about is their political agenda.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Stephen, do you want to rattle off what the libertarian stance on
Oh yeah, tell me.
I know you know.
So we understand your plight. On one hand, the police have way too many laws that they have to enforce anyways. Nonviolent drug offenses where they're not driving while intoxicated. Why is that junking up the system, right? I mean, I'm sure that's a significant portion of your bail. I understand we have more people in incarceration here in this country than anywhere else in the world.
But don't we have, isn't everywhere else in the world sending their drugs to our country? So doesn't it make sense we'd have more people in jail than any other country because they're sending all their drugs here?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the libertarian position on that is drugs should be legal. So
well,
but the black market only exists because they're illegal.
Is that still your position after Portland? Really?
Yes. I mean, look at Colorado. I mean,
But look
they
at
did full
Portland, where they
legalization.
set a record number of overdoses every month because they've
decriminalize or
decriminalized all
legalize?
hard drugs. I mean,
Yeah.
they've given up.
Yeah,
But
well, and
Portugal did the
that's
same thing though, and they did their country went the exact opposite.
Yeah, but you know why? Because they put in a level of a strong element of accountability. I
Yeah.
mean, we're not doing that. We're just decriminalizing drugs. We're not putting in accountability. I mean, what the system does that's better than decriminalization is it gives people a hammer. Like, look at me. I have a sister who had a 30-year drug addiction to prescription drugs after having a terrible car accident.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, under the for Portland, under the old system, she's never going to agree to go to rehab. But you would arrest her and say, do you want to go to jail or do you want to go to rehab? And she would say, well, I don't want to go to jail. I want to go to rehab. And then it has a high failure rate. So she would go, she wouldn't be successful. She would come back. She would screw up again. Do you want to go to jail or do you want to go to rehab? We've taken out the hammer completely. And now it's just, will you please go to rehab? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're chasing everybody every month to bring them back with Narcan and then set them free to go do their next hit.
Well, yeah, and the fentanyl stuff that's a whole different beast. That is brutal.
What do you mean? How is that a whole different beast? Don't you want to decriminalize fentanyl too?
Well, because a lot of what's coming over the southern border is carfentanil, the elephant tranquilizer, where just the size of a grain of salt, and all four of us are dead. There's not enough Narcan in the truck.
Well, and it's so cheap. They're mixing fentanyl with all their other drugs because they can mix it as long as they don't get the proportion wrong, and they can increase their profits from all their other drugs.
But when something's illegal and you're getting it and you get what you can and it's laced with fentanyl, as opposed to if it's legal and you know what you're getting and it's
that's even another problem. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's one, because I knew someone I had that died of fentanyl overdose, but they weren't trying to just do fentanyl. They were trying to do something else that had it in there and they didn't realize that. And so when you get things that are legal, you don't know what's in it.
Would you admit that at least the part of the problem in Portland is with crime and is because they've decriminalized all hard drugs. There's no accountability. And so people are, growing in numbers. We've gone from 6 to 12% of people having drug issues in Portland, and they're going to get their next hit, but they got to pay for it some way. So their theft and crime is going up. I read an article one time that said, if you give up on drug crime, if you give up on drugs, you're giving up on 80% of crime because so much crime can be traced back to drugs.
Is Portland a place that has soft laws on shoplifting as well as something like San Francisco? Or I don't know if the correlation is there at all or not, but I would imagine that it would be a place that is going that way if they're also kind of driven by similar politics and things. And I think that my general
and he disappeared.
Okay.
We didn't like him anyway.
Alden, you disappeared, man. Your general what?
the libertarian general principles, I think, are hard sometimes when you just have you just go, okay, now enact it, but in a world that was not prepared for that. So if we had been doing this all along, we had a culture of raising people with a different understanding of drugs and a different a very different cultural understanding of drug use. And I could go into the whole, I don't know if you guys are
but okay, so even today y'all have done this comparison to this other country that has a different success rate, but we never enacted the program they had. If you look at the programs we're doing, we're just doing everything on the cheap. We're decriminalizing. We're actually throwing a lot of money at counseling, but less than 0.1% are taking advantage of it. So where's that money going? Are people just sitting there going, well, I haven't done any counseling, but I thank you for this big payment. There's a problem there. And so the reality is all of these reforms are on the cheap. They don't want to spend any more money. They want to save money so they can then shovel that money to their progressive programs. And so that's the problem. We've lost the hammer. We've taken it away. And we get this comparison to this foreign country that we're not even following the program they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the libertarian position. So we believe in very, very small government. So the small,
I agree with that part.
Possible federal government that there can be, and I think where our philosophy is based on is individualism, and you are responsible for yourself. So while we would feel for somebody who got addicted to drugs and was having a hard time quitting and was making some poor decisions because of it, we do believe that was their responsibility and their immediate community to help them with it.
Well, the next step, though, I read an article that said the next step is then we're going to have, the left saying that they have a right to overdose. I mean, they have a right to overdose if they want, and I don't agree with that. That's where I depart from the theory that you're saying. If we think that drug addiction is an addiction, then we have to do everything we can to get them out of it. And just saying, okay, well, you have this right to essentially kill yourself. Then the next thing is going to be, well, we're not going to provide Narcan anymore because, that's too expensive. We want to provide that money to other programs. So if you overdose, that's on you. It's your responsibility. And if you're going to do it, well, then no. I would challenge you that position when what our politicians are doing right now. What would they be doing different than what they're doing right now in Portland if they were under the payment of organized crime and cartels to just protect them at all costs? What would they be doing different?
Mitch McConnell will be making a whole lot more money.
They may be. I don't know, but I don't see them doing anything different than they would be doing if they were on the pay.
Well, the government answer right now isn't working either, and you have to admit that because Johns Hopkins comes out with a study every 2 years that prescribed overdoses is one of the top 5 killers in this country every year.
I don't agree with that. Just before all this bail reform, the reason why we're having all this push for change is because we were so safe. We were doing so well. We're doing the same thing. We're committing the same cycle that we did in the 60s. We were feeling safe. We were more forgiving on crime. We released more people from prison. We started having more crime, and then the politicians couldn't agree on how to address it. We have the far left that said they wouldn't agree to anything. We started having a backlash, which is what we're having right now. And then by the 80s, 1980, we had Ronald Reagan elected, and we had the war on crime. Aiden, you were trying to say something, and Stephen would not let you talk. I tried,
it's okay, no.
But no.
I was curious, just as like another, just like a keystone kind of fundamental belief kind of a thing, like how you feel. I think another thing that's like popular in Portland is like the assisted suicide kind of thing, like the medical, like if you would like to, just like if you have cancer, or if you're, a vegetable or whatever the thing is, like, I was just curious, like your opinion on that.
Well, that's something I have only thought a little bit about. And I will tell you, as I get older, I probably like it more because, I've really never been ill. I've never been sick. And so when you get, I have a friend who has stage 4 breast cancer with liver involvement and bone involvement. And I talk to her every few days because, we've been so close for 20 something years. And I'm like, you have to get through this. And she's doing well. But, when you're going through that, you want that kind of option. But the problem we have, the government never does anything well. Look in Canada where they're doing that. I just read an article in the last couple of weeks where a perfectly healthy person was allowed to go through that process and in their life. And I'm opposed to that. I'm a very strong Christian. And so I don't want us to set up a system where, okay, you're past a certain age. I don't care if you're in good health or not. Your option should be, it's time to go. And I don't want okay, I'm depressed this week because I'm not where I wanted to be in my life. So it's time for me to go. Our life is bigger than that, and I'm worried that the government is not set up to handle those types of things well. They haven't ever done it historically. That should play right into y'all's theories. We want as small a government as we can get. I agree with that, except for the government has to provide public safety. And if the government can't provide public safety, the public will provide it. It's called vigilante justice, and we don't want that.
But does public safety extend to public safety from yourself?
That's the real question, because we
Yeah, but it's assisted suicide. I mean, I can always jump off a cliff.
assisted suicide is definitely, I do not think should be, like, the government should be getting involved in that whatsoever.
Well,
And
the government's
you
involved
help-
if they
you help
don't
somebody kill
allow it.
themselves, and
too.
Well,
and
the
you
government's
are
going to be
not
involved to help pay for it. They're always going to be involved in that.
Right.
I mean, if they don't pay for it, they're not going to do it. I mean, that's the reality.
I mean, if you help someone kill themselves, I think you could stand trial for murder. I don't really see the difference between helping somebody kill themselves and
But have you ever put down
I
a
will say
dog?
culture though, culturally, we're kind of going through a change here. I mean, have you ever put down a dog? I mean, we grew up with dogs in our house, but my grandfather lived on a farm, and he had the patriarch of all of our dogs. And when he got sick and had a stroke, he didn't take him to the vet to put him down.
Oh, he
20 years
shot
ago.
him
He
or
took him
something.
out to the woods, and
Yeah.
and
The 50-cent solution.
and we're like, what did you do to Ace?
Yeah.
King's dad?
And I brought up the dog thing because it's like we see that as like when you're beyond the point of no return kind of a thing. We see that as like mercy almost or whatever. So I see what you're saying too. If like you're a healthy, able adult and
themselves, like,
what do you say?
A dog wouldn't kill himself.
Right, but a dog doesn't have a government telling them they should not kill themselves either, too. Like if in a legal way or like
not a good
obstructing it
comparison. The dog has, the
I know.
mentality of a
Yeah, I don't
5-year-old.
know.
He
I
just wants to
know.
be petted, but as we get older, though, we want that option. I mean, it's just common sense. I mean, we don't want to be a burden on our families. I mean,
Yeah.
we have too many examples today where, you have a little bit of money and then you get in bad health and all that money gets sucked away, and everything you thought you had set aside for your family could be gone. And I know how I would react to that, but as long as we're healthy, we don't want that option. And, it's a slippery slope. It's one of those things that you just have to be very careful about. And so I think it should be a very private decision. And, my parents had a car accident, 5 years ago now, and my dad died that day. And my mom lived from August the 1st until January the 24th. Never went home, broke her spine in 3 different places. But you know what? She was 80 years old, and she was saying, do everything you can to save me. I'm not ready to go. And the doctors are saying there's a 90% chance she will not live a year. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but she's not ready. And so that's the opposite side of the coin there, that when you're not ready, you're going to fight. And so I just think it should be a very private thing. And I think a lot of things we're letting the government get in on that we should let families deal with. And, the problem is we have such a breakdown of families, but if we could get the families to deal with it, then that's going to solve many of the problems that we are addressing.
Oh, and that's definitely sorry.
No, go ahead. I just was saying.
Y'all were all saying how you agreed with me. I was just recording that for later to play back.
That's just a real,
each of you talk separately and just say it very clearly.
So, not to stay too far down this ideological rabbit hole, the bail reform. So, one entity I'm aware of is the American Legislative Exchange Council. And I understand some people have said that they have a libertarian slant, because they were originally founded to come out in defense of the defeat of Barry Goldwater, and also fight back against the EPA and wage and labor controls and all that kind of stuff. But I understand that they're a bit of a legislative powerhouse today, and of course, ties to the Koch brothers are blown out of proportion. Do you have any awareness of them and their efforts in bail reform?
Well, okay. So on the criminal justice reform area, you have to look at who's funding the think tanks, because you have right-wing think tanks, you have left-wing and right-wing think tanks. But the problem is on criminal justice reform, that kind of the support for that, the funding for that bridges all. So the funding for criminal justice reform for a left think tank could be the same as for a right think tank. And then shock of all shocks, they come up with the same type of policy recommendation. And the best example is, when we had the petition initiative in California to change certain felonies to misdemeanors, and there was theft under $950. Well, both left and right supported it. And, the argument was, look, we're just helping people. They won't have felonies on their they'll be easier for them to find jobs, but they'll still have to answer for their crimes. Well, their goal all along was to decriminalize theft under $950. And the right side think tanks never saw it coming. I mean, never saw it. And they were going, oh, yes, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. We support it completely. And what has happened? And so now they're hiding. Oh, what do you mean? How dare you say we supported that? Well, you did. How dare you say we supported that? And so you have to be very careful with that, because both the left and the right, the think tanks on criminal justice reform, are getting their funding from the same sources. And so it's shocking of all shocks that they all come to the same conclusion. Oh, we should try this. It's never had any good, it's never been done anywhere. There's no studies that says it works, but we should do that. And what do you know? We're getting a terrible result.
Yeah. Well, also on their website, there was a cool article I was reading today, though. They were talking about just like bail reform in particular, and the cash bail system, which is catching a lot of flack on a national scale today. From both the left and the right think tanks.
It is the best mechanism to get people to go to court. It has the lowest failure to appear rate, and of course, it's the one being attacked.
There we go. Exactly, because it's one of the fabrics of our justice system. It may not be perfect, but it works, like you just said. And the article that they wrote was saying that there's municipalities using these fines and these bail, certain fines, fees, and bails. They're using that to fund their pension programs that are breaking the budget these days.
Well, here's the problem. I mean, the best thing I can say is look at Illinois. Illinois had the private surety bail system. They got rid of it years ago. So we've heard over the last few months, the state of Illinois got rid of cash bail. Well, that's not the private surety bail system. They already got rid of that, and that's why crime increased. They got rid of cash bonds, or where they were paying the courts, and the courts were using that money from people's failures to appear to fund operations. Well, now Illinois has gotten rid of that, but they didn't replace the money that was being used to fund operations. So like you say, we've got crime increasing, a big push to roll it back. And it's because, I mean, they know what they're doing. I mean, New York says they know what they're doing. California says they know what they're doing. Harris County says they know that they're going to increase crime by doing it, but it's politics. Their political masters are saying, this is what the politics that we want you to pass. And they're doing it, and they're going to continue to do it as long as the public allows it.
There you go. So wasn't there some kind of bail reform that was just passed in 2021 in Texas?
Well, we're in 2024, and so yes, it was, but it was SB 6, and it was good bail reform. So it was to strengthen the criminal justice system and not pull the rug out from under it, not to weaken it. And so what they did was they required judges to review criminal histories before setting bail. No novel concept. You would think that's something that's common sense. Why didn't we do that before 2021? Because we didn't have a central database so that judges could do that. So we set that up and required it. And then the other thing, because of COVID, we started limiting the use of simple release, personal bonds, just letting someone out for free on violent offenses. And so we made a whole list of crimes where people are not eligible for a simple release or a personal bond.
And those primarily violent crimes?
Primarily violent crimes. Historically, they would be crimes that you would never think people would get a personal bond on. Capital murder, and goes on. I mean, it goes on for 2 or 3 pages. But Harris County started doing that because of all the litigation. And then I started making an argument, just like a dog gets one free bite before they're dangerous or considered dangerous. In Harris County, you get one free murder before they would hold you because after your second murder, they wouldn't let you go. But I was like, do you get one free murder in Harris County?
Alden,
and that had never been done.
County, man. I got some I want to talk to you about.
Just flip the name, write it down in code, put it on the rabbit behind you, and
I'll take $20 I owed you from SCAD. Yeah.
We've got a question from the audience. They asked, what are some other types of bail besides cash?
Okay, so bail is regulated by the states, so each state can be differently. But like in Texas, there's 3 types of bail. There's the surety bond, which is the only one listed in the Texas Constitution. So it's the only one that can't be taken away without a vote of the public. That's us. But then cash bonds and personal bonds. Personal bonds is an example of simple release. New York, we would call it released on no bail. California, we would call it released on zero bail. But there's other types of bail, or we've got a 10% bond where you pay it to the court instead of pay it to the bondsman. That's the worst of both worlds, but we don't allow that in Texas. And then I'm sure there's some other examples that I'm not thinking
bail,
about.
There's dip out, there's Irish goodbye. Like these are the bails.
Yeah, there's Irish whiskey bail. There's, but usually there's cash bail, surety bail, and then some type of simple release. And in Texas, it's called a personal bond.
I got you.
Catch and release.
Well, Ken, we were only supposed to keep you for 30 minutes, and we're very much past that point. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your organ? Like you're a board member of the bondsman. Sorry, I have.
Sure. Yes. So I'm a member of the board of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. We have a website, pbtx.com. We're on all of our social media, like Facebook, and also we're on Twitter, or X as we call it. Mm-hmm. And you're showing our website. On the menu, you can click on blog, and then we highlight different important stories in the news. But today we released a podcast episode, and so we have our own podcast called The Bell Post. Okay. You can find episodes there, or you can just go to thebellpost.com. All we talk about is criminal justice issues, bail reform issues. You want to know what the New Jersey plan is? We have an episode about it. So we're trying to educate legislators and the public on what criminal justice reform issues are. And, we are ranked as one of the top criminal justice podcasts in the internet sphere.
Well, awesome. I feel like we could probably keep talking for another few hours about all of these issues.
I promise you, if you had sent me an overnight package with a little whiskey, we could have talked until midnight. And I'm not sure I'd still have a shirt on by then, but it'd be fine.
Well, we really appreciate you coming by and sharing your knowledge and different perspective, because we get stuck in our own libertarian worlds quite a bit, and we don't get to hear
it's good for us to get out. Yeah.
Hey, for a bunch of libertarians, y'all are pretty good guys. I've enjoyed it very much. It's nice to meet y'all.
Well, I appreciate it, Ken. You're welcome back anytime. Yeah. I'll just remove you real quick, and okay. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Good to meet you, man.
Cheers. All right, y'all. That was Mr. Ken Good. Go.
We got like the triptych going on here.
We do have the triptych. I don't like it. Do you like it? I don't.
Not really. No, I'm too close, man. Yeah.
There's
Zach. What's up?
There we go. That's better.
Hey.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a great conversation. Because like I said,
I always love just talking to someone that's just like deeply versed in like a thing, just because like I don't know dick about bail, and so like that was fun to just like now learn a little bit about it anyway. Like
well, and I know a little bit of what he was hinting at, because he was just talking about we just came right at him with libertarian thing of like decriminalize all drugs. Of course, he's going to stand by that.
I tried to kind of establish the grounds, but in trying to do so, it just got off the rails a little bit. But
exactly. But what he was talking about with like the progressive ideals and kind of eroding the fabric of our criminal justice system. Mm-hmm. Laura Ingraham, she wrote a good book about that, and I'm trying to see if I got it on my bookshelf right here. Yes, Power to the People is what it's called. So she started her career not as just a political pundit, but she was an aide for Justice Clarence Thomas. And so in her book, Power to the People, she was talking about, this concept of restorative justice, which back in
sounds like a Rage Against the Machine song,
sweeping the nation. And, it started in like Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, the usual suspects. And it dealt with mainly social issues, pedophilia, child molestation, things like that. But it's kind of crept into other sectors. And that's kind of what Ken was getting at, was they're not prosecuting these things. The shoplifting under $950, they're just letting that go. I've mentioned recently that there was a study that was done in Newnan, Georgia, the little suburb on the south side of Atlanta with a couple 100,000 people, has a higher crime rate per capita than New York City. Now, why is that? Well, it's because New York City has stopped prosecuting crime.
Oh, so on paper it looks like it. Yeah.
And they won't report their numbers.
Exactly. You can go punch a cop in the face, and he either just punches you in the face back, or you say, "Hey, you don't do that."
You punch a cop in the face, he
Hannah-
shoots you, then you died of
I mean,
COVID. Like, yeah.
Hannah says restorative justice was big in the Title I public schools. Spoiler, not that effective.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or it is effective.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at it. Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
had a great question that I wish we could have asked him, but he had jet. So
He had
say
to
question
bail.
later, maybe how do we make jury nullification more mainstream and accepted in the courtroom? That might be a question that I emailed to him and his staff because I've been in contact with them.
So what does this even mean, jury nullification?
Oh, this
Pardon
is
my
this
idiocy.
is how we get laws removed, taken off the books as citizens. As a
okay.
jury, you can set precedent so that if a similar case gets tried in the future, there's already a precedent set for, let's say,
right, okay.
not being convicted of drug dealing.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're on the jury and you think a law should not exist, you're allowed to vote not guilty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even if you believe they did it, you're just like,
Okay.
well, they shouldn't have been arrested for it. It should be legal, not
Yeah.
guilty.
So based on the case, it's like under these rules, they're guilty, but I believe that the rules should be different. And so I'm going
Correct.
not guilty. Gotcha. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we're huge on jury nullification.
I am too now that I know what it is. I didn't realize.
First rule of jury nullification: do not mention jury nullification during jury selection.
Yes, that is probably very true. Also,
Yeah, really
don't tell them you're a libertarian probably during jury.
The way to do it is just to be like, I'm not convinced he did it. Just be as generic as
Yeah.
possible.
Yep.
I wasn't there.
We have him on video. I
wasn't there to
Those
pass
things can be
judgment.
doctored.
Yeah, but
It's a cheap
I'm
date.
going to send this question along because I would like to know that from an attorney as well. That would be very interesting to hear from.
How old is the bail system in general? Like, how long have we been even doing bail? That was a question I was going to ask him, and then he had to
it
go.
was actually
I'm gonna
on,
guess
it was
forever.
on his website. Let me go look it back up.
Maybe
I was
we should
gonna
have
get
on
into-
Catherine Bernard sometime because she's actually talked about jury nullification in front of
that'd be cool.
juries in the courtroom and told them they could do it, and they did.
I mean, that's pretty baller. Yeah, I would love to talk to her.
Let's see.
I was going to get into. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. Keep going.
I was going to get into this with him, like on the whole, like the constitutional aspect of bail and like how old it is and like how did it come about and like, what are the grounds for, believing that is or isn't constitutional in general.
So the first bail laws were set in the UK in 1275.
Oh, wow.
Statute
Okay.
of Westminster stated which crimes were bailable and which were not. It also
Oh,
determined.
I thought since it was 1275, I thought you were saying which, WITCH, which crimes? Like,
No, not
They
which
don't get bail.
Only if they float.
witches don't get bail if they sink. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then
I was
they
gonna
go
guess
through-
English common law, but then I was like, well, maybe it goes back to like Rome, so I don't know.
Well, on their website they say 1275 was the first.
What? So in this country, did we adopt that system from like the get?
Yeah, we've. It actually doesn't. The first thing in their history of bail is 1791 Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the United States.
Uh-huh.
So the Fifth, Sixth, and Eighth Amendments guarantee.
So it's been a
citizens
while.
the
All right.
process of law, fair and speedy trial, and protection against excessive bail.
Okay.
Which that excessive is just so up for
It's
interpretation.
very
and
vague.
so problematic. Like that,
So
that was kind
Ken
of my
brought
point.
up.
Like, yeah, we couldn't get to everything that I wanted.
No,
to
no, of course, but he brought up how do you guys feel? We'll like elaborate on some of the things that we touched on, but how do you guys feel about the earlier reform that he was a proponent of, which was saying to look into the history of the person and would the bail amount go like more if you were like a repeat offender or something like that, or like a flight risk or
Look,
some kind of a thing?
if it's not a violent crime, there should be no bail, period. You shouldn't. I mean,
Okay.
you shouldn't be arrested. There should be no bail on a nonviolent crime ever. It's idiotic. There's nobody who's and by
Is
violent,
this the
I mean,
broader libertarian stance on it?
violent
Okay.
means you or your property. So theft, I'm fine with it.
I'm apparently a fake libertarian. I don't know these things. So
I mean, you are a fake libertarian.
I'm a fraud.
I don't know, Steven. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, basically the same thing is, unless you have somehow violated someone's life, liberty, or property, no harm, no foul. Why are you being imprisoned for that? It's pretty
Agreed.
stupid. That was the one thing I was able to, one thing I was able to get across to Ken was, there's so many criminals these days. The crime rate's going up because you keep adding laws to the books.
Yeah.
I mean, statistically, the more laws there are, the more people there are to break them.
Yeah, and Alden also had some great points. Like the culture around Portland was not conducive to saying, okay, everybody just do drugs now.
Yeah, we picked one of the places that is probably like the worst place to start, honestly, with that.
Pick a
It
rural,
also seems like
very few people.
It also seems like they just have the worst basket of policy where it's like they might have decriminalized drugs, but they're also cool if you shoot up and pass out in front of the library.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe don't allow that and let's see where it goes.
So this is where it gets into something like, okay, this is where it's like we already have laws for that kind of thing. Like where if it's like, okay, but if you do drugs, then you're gonna neglect your children. It's like, no, if you're not feeding your kids, that's a whole other thing. And like
then you arrest them for child endangerment.
Yes, right. Yeah. This is where, and if you're like, or like you're loitering in front of the library, drugged out on the stoop or whatever, like then that's probably another law. Or if you're shitting in the street or whatever's going on, like you don't need the middleman drug law. Like if you are high on PCP or meth or whatever the hell's going on, and you are doing some crazy thing and you hurt someone. There's this other law. We can simplify this down to the result.
To like calling something a hate crime. Like you killed somebody, but you killed them because they're black. It's like, well,
they're dead.
It doesn't matter. They're murdered either way. It's just murder. It's not hate murder. Like, this is ridiculous.
Every violent crime is a hate crime.
Yeah, there we go.
Because if I'm going to hit you in the face with a hammer, I hate you in that moment. It doesn't matter what you look like or what you did or where you came from.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm a Christian as well, and so I understand the impulse that Ken wants to, when he said like he doesn't think you have the right to overdose. Like I understand the impulse to say that. Like I understand you don't want people to. Like I don't want people.
No one wants someone to. Well, I don't want to say no one.
But when you start,
we don't
implementing laws and forcing people into cages.
Yeah.
Because they're doing something to themselves, that leads you down a horrible road to where we are now with all of these insane laws where we are getting arrested for all sorts of things that pose no consequence in the real world.
That's part of why I brought up the whole assisted suicide thing was one, I was like low key kind of sussing out like, if he was a Christian or not. And I kind of suspected that he was. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I was going to say that Jake, I know you are, and Steve and I get this essence of the upbringing might be in the milieu a little bit. I didn't want to like assign anything to you, but I knew Jake was.
And Alden, just come out with it. Be bold, man.
Is he? I don't know. I didn't want to I was going to ask him, but I knew Jake was because we've talked about this quite a bit or whatever. And so I was going to say that you can have that same underlying fundamental belief.
You're the only heathen here, Alden.
I'm the only heathen everywhere I go. That's okay. But
that's fair.
Now I'm just genuinely curious on your beliefs, Stephen.
I'm a Christian. Strayed from that out of high school for a while, and then eventually
Jesus sticker.
Right over his shoulder.
That's right.
Oh, is that? That's right. I've seen that before on the cabinet down there.
Yeah. I actually got that from a Pizza Hut before they closed down in Fayetteville. Oh yeah.
What? That's just such a crazy detail.
So random.
Anyway, I don't like to assume anything before I've officially been told.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
could have been an ironic Jesus
and study and test my beliefs and kind of long winding road, wound up back at the beginning years later.
The Wiccan path back to Jesus, right?
Yep. No, I went on a crazy path, man. Probably not as crazy as Stephen, but I went on a crazy path too, and wound up back where I started. So
yeah, I mean, I'm doing tarot and weird yoga poses to black out and see God in my own way. You know what I mean? So heathen I am, I guess. Yeah, whatever.
Heathen you are. What?
Which tarot deck are you using?
I don't know. I've got 3 different ones or something, but
Okay.
I've literally got one of the cards just like sitting on my desk right here that I pulled the other day, the Ace of Wands.
Nice.
So whatever
Nice.
that one is, I don't know, the classic. Yeah.
So, even though I am a Christian, I will say, the recent news about Louisiana public schools putting 10 commandments in every classroom or in every schoolhouse, that's a stupid move. Okay. Because first of all, how many students in those schools can't even read those 10 commandments? I'm dead serious, man. They've got some problems over there.
That was, dude, low-key hilarious. I did not expect that.
And then not only that, but instead of spending the money to actually teach these kids to read, now we're going to have to pay the lawyers to defend our decision to put the 10 commandments at the front of the school.
I agree that it's a bad idea in that move, and I'm not saying you can't have those beliefs, but I am saying that if it is a government school and we are supposed to have the separation of church and state, then it is just at conflict now with that, and I don't feel like that's wise. But
it's the same thing that always happens. The one group tries to implement their own rules thinking we're always going to be in power, and then as soon as they're not, they use those same, like the other side uses the same rules that they've already given precedent to against them. Like it's
they'll end up with a statue of Baphomet in front of the school or something. Somebody sued to do it. So
this is the lack of like the principle thing that we talk about a lot on this show, where it's like as soon as it favors you, you're like, oh, like I'm going to use this rule to my advantage, and then like, but if it favors someone else, you're like, oh, you can't use that rule, and it's like, no. This is what I love about the libertarian like community is like the underlying principles of things, and sometimes it can feel a little like disconnected or heartless or something like that, but I'm not, like we were just talking about, no one wants to watch someone overdose or something like that, and it can feel kind of heartless. But when you're talking about law, I think that sometimes that is a better place to build from as a foundation than something that's built more, without the principle and more from emotion or something. But
that's fair. All right, y'all.
Oh, absolutely.
It's time for our next one. Woohoo! Libations trivia, everybody. Welcome. I'm running it tonight, so I can't win, which is sad. Also, I've completely lost track of the scoreboard, so I have no idea who is actually doing well these days.
I'll say this though: if I do as bad as I did last week, me and Jake could end with the same score, actually. So
this is like Team Jeopardy right now because we don't have Zane or anyone that usually does very well.
Yeah.
Before we start, I'm a little laggy. Let me log back in.
Cool. No worries. For those of you in the audience, you are allowed to use the internet. I would prefer if you don't just spam the ever-living mess out of the comments section, Hannah. If you give 6 answers in a row, I'm only going to count your first one.
How many grains of sand are there in the world? Just let Hannah just spam numbers.
So yeah, please don't. Please wait for somebody else to respond before you put another response in there. If I see Hannah, I'm not going to count 5 of those. Only
pick
one.
The first one.
Yeah. So you get one guess, especially with numbered questions. You definitely only get one guess. All right, everybody. The categories are this day in history, because yes, I'm still doing that. Automobiles and rhinos, the animal, not the Republican. Hannah says, relax, Jake. You have to at least take 2. Sometimes thoughts evolve and time is of the essence for the audience. You just don't get it.
I kind of agree on that one. Like every now and then you like have a dumb first guess and you're like, oh, wait.
Oh, dude, I did that thing. Most of my guesses are dumb.
I think that's just an MO. I think that how he operates.
I lost the logo one. I'm a logo designer, and my first guess was Dr. Pepper. And then as soon as I said it, I was like, no! Baskin Robbins. Oh, man.
All right.
That's amazing what pressure does to you.
I don't do well with it, to be honest. Like,
Question number 1. We're going.
Okay.
On this day in 1975, what ocean thriller was released? Zach.
Jaws.
Yeah.
Correct.
I as soon as
never seen it.
Yeah, I was like, what else would it be?
Hang on now. I forgot to put an audience little thing in
Jake,
here.
do you want to implement my like half rule that I was talking about, where like once someone raises their hand, you stop reading the question?
Yes, I do. Okay, so yeah, that's another thing for anybody playing, which normally it just applies to Zane. For anyone playing on screen, as soon as you raise your hand, I will stop reading the question. You have to answer it.
I thought that was like a good way to like mitigate, like if you get the jump, you know what I mean, but you don't get that final clue.
Yeah.
Just to kind of mitigate the just like going early just to get the first thing a little bit,
No.
which I've done too, by the way. But
I will try to see it out of the corner of my eye. I can't always guarantee.
no, it's not a perfect thing, but it was just like a
but
general rule.
definitely rat each other out.
consider.
I'm on board with rats in this.
I think that
I'll
was
even
like the
say
Ken
when
Jennings strategy. He's like, I'm just gonna buzz in because I know I'm going to know it. Like whenever I finally get to the question.
Yeah, this negates that. All right,
Mhm.
question number 2. On this day in 1947, Bugsy Siegel is shot and killed through a window in his home. What was his day job? Zach,
Trash man.
incorrect. Steven,
I like that.
Milkman.
no. Alden,
A gigolo.
no, but you're more on track. So it is not a. It is not what most people would call a job. Zach, incorrect. Drummer.
Mafia.
Oh
That's
Yeah, I
yeah,
said trash. I figured that was his cover.
he's
Yeah.
an influencer.
He was one of the guys who helped start Las Vegas. So he put in the first.
Oh, that's where I know this.
$1 casino. Called the
Yes.
Flamingo.
That's right, because it wasn't actually in Vegas. It was what's the next city over?
Yeah.
Paradise.
Yeah.
I think it's Paradise is actually technically what we think of as Vegas is in the city district of Paradise or whatever.
Yeah.
Who got that right? Was that Zach?
Yeah.
Yes.
Zach's crushing it. Good job,
Yep.
Zach. All right. Question number 3. On this day in 1963, the U.S. and Soviet Union agreed to implement what device? Alden.
Satellite spying.
No.
This isn't the open skies thing. That was later.
Zach.
I don't know what it's called, but like the way they communicated with each other. Like
Nuclear hotline.
Yeah.
Correct. Good job, Zach.
Is that like a string and 2 cans across the ocean? Like,
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah.
it's more communication than we have now with Russia, diplomatically.
Very true.
That's sad.
Question number 4. On this day in 1863, what state became the 35th state to enter the Union?
You say 1863?
1863. Steven.
Washington?
Nope. Alden.
Oklahoma.
No.
Damn.
Zach.
It's one where I feel like we just need to spam the chat. I don't know. Idaho.
No. Hint is it is in the eastern half of the United States. Yeah. Alden.
Iowa.
No. Zach.
Indiana.
Audience gets it. West
All right.
Virginia.
Nope. That says west. It can't be in the east.
True. We were misled.
It was a trick question.
Man, I'm so dumb. I didn't even understand what you were saying for a second. All right.
Maybe you weren't dumb enough to
I
get
was
it.
going to yes, you just stole my own jab at myself. Yeah.
All right. Question number 5. On this day in 1941, what major manufacturer signs their first contract with a union? Zach.
Ford.
That was what. Oh no! I was like just
What?
blind guess. That was going to be my guess.
Yep.
Good job, Zach.
1941, they signed their first contract with the automobile union.
I'll never admit that all these are blind guesses.
Really? Was that too? Well, we
Yeah.
had the same. We had the same blind guess, Zach.
All right. Question number 6. On this day in 1782, after 6 years of discussion, Congress adopts what emblem for the U.S.? Steven.
Stars and bars.
No. Zach.
The eagle.
No.
Hmm.
It has a specific name. I believe an eagle is involved, and I believe stars and bars are involved in it, but it has a name. Alden.
Eagle and stars and bars.
Steven.
The official seal of the United States of America.
The Great
The
Seal.
Great Seal. All right.
Mm.
Yeah, my next hint was going to be it's an animal.
That would have thrown us off so bad.
Brian,
We don't.
US
Oh no.
Good job, Brian.
Yeah.
All right.
The
Question
great
number
seal.
7. On this day in 1567, the casket letters were found implicating the planned murder of the husband of which European leader just months prior?
1567. Okay.
Alden.
King Louis.
No. So
Okay.
it's the husband of a European leader.
Gay King Louis. Sorry.
So the husband was not.
There's
the one
another
who-
strike.
So you know, Zach, go.
I didn't really mean to raise my hand. What's Catherine the Great?
No.
I don't know.
Good guess though. Steven.
Queen Elizabeth.
Nope. These are all good guesses. I like them. There's not going to be any hints. Zach.
Mary, Queen of Scots.
Mary Queen.
Oh,
of
nice.
Scots is correct. Bravo. Dude, I read this story because I was like, that seems really weird. And she died like a month after him, like immediately after him. She got murdered. Like it, and yeah, they found these letters
Yeah.
that implicated her and her co-conspirator planned the death of her husband. It was wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
She must have said her husband's name in a mirror 5 times.
On this day in 1893, who was acquitted of murdering her father and stepmother? Steven.
Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden is correct.
I could not think of the. Is this the hatchet thing? or
Yes!
whatever? Yeah, I couldn't think of her name. Damn it.
All right, question number 9. On this day in 1992, a new constitution went into effect, ending the military rule established in what South American country? Zach.
Chile.
Nope. Alden.
Venezuela.
No. Steven.
Bolivia.
Nope.
Hmm.
There will be no hints. Zach.
Colombia.
No. Alden.
Uruguay.
What?
Uruguay.
Nope. Steven.
Argentina.
Nope. Zach.
Brazil.
Alden.
Paraguay. Goy. The other Guay. When you were like, what? I was like, maybe it's the one that sounds like it instead of Uruguay. Or
I know. I wish you had. I wish there was a tiny little glitch, and I was like, that. Of course, it was the Uruguay one. It's so shocking. All right, final question of round 1. On this day in 2002, Atkins v. Virginia was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. What was the case about? This is an extremely hard one. I will give a hint after one round of guessing. Zach.
Guns or something.
guns or something.
No. Steven.
The efficacy of a low-carb diet.
That's what I was going to say.
No.
Oh, man. Dude.
Alden, you
Well,
got
now I got nothing. I was going to say that. That's
All right,
too funny.
So it has to do with the death penalty. That's your hint this time around. Zach.
The death penalty for retards.
You are correct.
Oh
Death
my gosh.
for the intellectually disabled.
Which, by the way, Bill Clinton flew back to Arkansas to sign the death penalty for an intellectually disabled guy.
Well, he's, you know, if you needed
It
more.
was during a campaign.
Bill
He wanted to
Clinton,
appear
asshole.
tough on crime. So
Nice.
Yeah, tough on retarded crime. Great.
Yeah. Dixie Mafia represent.
You know all the papers on Bill Clinton that were held at
All
one
of
of the
them.
Trade Center buildings was destroyed during 9/11.
Alden, you can't.
Yes.
You just can't help yourself, can you?
Oh, yes.
No.
You just. If someone mentions something that's the remotest tangent of 9/11,
Mhm.
Alden is going to bring it to 9/11.
So you just said the words 9/11. That reminds me of something, actually. No, I'm kidding.
All right. After one round, Zach has 6, Steven has 2. The audience and Alden are tied at 1. They're both red as well, so maybe we'll just combine their scores afterwards.
Maybe I should always just be Alden and the audience, like as one team.
There we go.
Yeah.
This question, round 2 is all 2 points. This is all about automobiles. Who is credited with the first practical modern automobile? Steven.
Henry Ford.
Nope. Alden.
Tucker.
No. Zach.
Hitler.
Volkswagen.
Wait, what's
Incorrect.
modern? Like what?
This was in the 1870s.
Hmm.
And it was
Wow.
here's a hint. It was in Europe. Steven.
You just ruined it for me. I was
No, I
going to say
helped
the
you.
Dodge brothers.
Yeah, that would have been a dumb guess.
Right.
Alden.
Lars. It sounded like a European name. I thought I would just go
Zach.
with a general one.
I'll give you a hint after Zach answers.
Ferrari.
No, I like the guess though. This car company is still around. Zach.
Rolls Royce.
Nope. Steven.
Pugo.
Nope.
Saab.
Nope. Yeah, I'll get one more round of guessing. I'm not giving you any more hints. Even.
Renault.
No. Good guess though. I like that. Brian wants me to
Mercedes.
define practical. I can't define practical. That's just what literally every article I read said practical. I don't. Alden, Zach, then Alden.
Oh, okay.
Since it's practical, I'll go with Germany. Mercedes Benz. I don't know.
Carl Benz.
Oh,
man.
I was gonna go
There we
Germany
go.
too, but I was gonna go Volkswagen, but I don't know the name.
Well, that's what I was
Well,
doing
so
with
everybody went there
Hitler.
with Hitler.
Oh, is that his or whatever?
I have
Yeah.
faith Jake would have counted it if it
Did you
was.
see the? Did you see
Volkswagen
that,
is the people's car.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the that short where the guy spins the Volkswagen logo and it makes the swastika or whatever? Just saying. I don't know.
Hitler designed the Olympic rings.
Did he really?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He did a great job. They look great.
Right? You know,
And very
Hugo
similar to
Boss
Audi.
uniforms. I mean, they're looking sharp out there.
All right.
There's a lot of
number
them in
two.
Atlanta.
Question number 2. Which country was home to Siegfried Marcus, who built one of the earliest gasoline-powered vehicles in the 1870s? No one?
Which country?
Oh, sorry. There you go. Which country was home to Siegfried Marcus? Steven.
Poland.
No.
Damn.
Alden.
Switzerland.
No. These are great guesses, though. Zach.
Not really.
The United States of America.
What? No. Steven.
Weimar Republic.
No, it's a country that still exists.
Never mind.
Alden.
Sweden.
No. Y'all are all getting further away from the truth.
Perfect. It's South Africa.
Zach, you got an answer?
Austria.
Austria.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Zach is running away with this.
Yeah, he is.
Question number 3. What was the primary fuel source used by automobiles prior to gasoline? Steven or Alden.
Hemp seed oil.
What? No. Steven.
Electricity.
Nope. Zach, you got a guess?
Kerosene.
No. Alden.
Alcohol.
Nope. Steven?
Kerosene.
It is not wood.
Coal.
Incorrect. The audience gets it. It is steam.
Uh-huh.
But steam, is that not
You got to
coal
generate it
what?
with something.
What?
I guess it could be wood or coal then.
Yeah, I was gonna say steam is
It's-
coal typically. Like
You don't call it you call it a steam powered engine. You call it a steamboat. You call it a
Well, nuclear power is technically steam
I'm just
powered
trying to
too,
say
but we
that steam-
specify the fuel.
your mouth.
Steven kind of had it.
Steam doesn't just
I
naturally
agree.
occur.
It is Steve.
Dragon power.
It's a man that just rubs sticks together really fast and just heats the water with it. Like, yeah.
All right. Question number 4. Gottlieb Daimler, an automotive pioneer, merged his company in 1899 with another company to form what present-day car brand? Steven.
Daimler-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz is correct.
Again? Benz?
Well, before it was just Carl Benz, and this time it's Mercedes-Benz. So,
I get it.
There's a subtle difference. I don't know if you know English well enough to know the difference.
No, I don't. Yeah.
Or German.
I was raised in Louisiana. The Louisiana school system.
I love it when you go callbacks to earlier in the episode. Question number 5. Who is considered the father of the gasoline car for his work on the combustion engine? Steven.
Henry Ford.
No. You're just going to keep guessing? Alden.
Enzo Ferrari.
No. I'll give a hint after Zach answers.
No. Warner von Braun.
Incorrect. And it is not Benz. Give me a second, Steven. I'm going to give you a hint. The hint is the word automobile. Steven.
Otto von Bismarck.
I love that guess. You're on the right track, but you're incorrect.
Oh my god. Part
Zach,
of me just
you got to guess.
died.
Famous friends Mo and Bill.
No.
Mobile, Alabama.
Alden, you got one?
No.
All right. I don't think anybody's going to get this.
No.
I'd never heard of this. Nicholas Otto.
I was wondering if it was OTTO Otto. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know who Nicholas Otto is. So.
I have no idea who that is. All right. After 2 rounds, Zach has a commanding lead with 10. Steven has 4. Audience has 3. Alden has 1. Alden could still
I can tie.
Alden
I can tie.
So if you get all these rhinoceroses questions, you can win. Question number 1. What is the term for a group of rhinos? Steven. Don't say the Congress.
Oh, okay.
The what?
Don't say Congress.
Rhinoceri.
What?
Rhinoceri.
No.
A herd.
No. Alden.
A stampede.
No. That's so funny. The audience guessed that right when you did.
That's the first thing I thought too.
So we're both wrong, equally wrong. Yeah, we should be on a team together. I'm telling
It
you.
is not a unicorn.
A unicorn of rhinos.
Steven.
Congress.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you, Steven?
I couldn't resist.
Alden, go.
A blunder.
No.
It's pretty good though, right? It should be a blunder.
Good one.
A
Zach,
blunder of
give me a
rhinos.
guess, and then I'll give you all a hint.
A pack.
Nope. It is. Man. There was a Don Cheadle movie from the early 2000s with this title. Alden.
A Rwanda?
No, it's Zach.
And the Iron Man. I'm not even sure who Don Cheadle is. But...
I think that's right? Unless I started like a wrong trend. That's too funny. Oh, wait.
Steven, you got to guess?
I'm definitely not a Cheadleologist well enough for that to be a good
Hang
guess
on.
for me.
I got to
one.
look up who else was in this. Alden, go ahead and guess, buddy.
Is it an ocean?
What?
I'm just having too much fun with this one, man.
No. Oh, yeah. Okay. It was Don Cheadle. I'm just going to list off some of the folks in it.
Uh-huh.
Did you see what it was? Right
I
there?
saw.
I couldn't read anything. I just saw a
I
dude.
can't read that fast.
Look like Matt Damon.
Hallelujah. Well, it wasn't.
Okay.
We have. Let's see.
If the audience can use the internet, they should have it by now.
Yeah, I am not even looking at their. No, they're. They don't have it yet.
They don't have the internet yet.
God.
Don Cheadle, Sandra Bullock, Tandy Newton, Matt Dillon, Brendan Fraser, Terrence Howard was in it, Daniel Day Kim, Ludacris, Steven.
Oh,
A mummy.
oh, no.
Not Mummy. Alden.
Oh, a crash.
It's a crash.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes. I like an ocean better, but I'll take a crash.
I like an ocean better too. It's a crash of rhinos. Isn't that bizarre?
Wow.
That's pretty good, actually.
Brian came in after. You got it. Tough luck, Brian. All right. Alden, you're still hanging in there, man.
Hey, I got a chance.
The audience is now eliminated. Y'all can still guess though and spoil it for everybody else. Next question. What arguably unethical conservation method has been used on rhinos to deter poachers? Steven.
Sawing off their horn.
You're correct.
Dang it.
Horning them.
Is that real? That's crazy. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Mhm.
To just like detour them from
Well, because the poachers are going to kill the rhino.
for
And
the
they're like,
horn.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, we're just going to take the value out of it right here. Leave this thing alive.
I was gonna say murdering poachers, but
Well, they
That
do
was
that
right.
too.
Should 3D print horns to put back on them.
just give them plastic horns.
Yeah, there we go.
That'll do great against another rhinoceros.
Yeah.
In a
Well,
fight.
it's like
The
Clark
maiden
Howard
China
is all big
before.
on the lab created diamonds these days. They're indistinguishable under a microscope from natural diamonds. So what if we have lab created ivory?
Well, I have heard of synthetic rhino horn, but apparently the Chinese don't like it as much.
All right.
Got it.
Question.
It's not
number
a gas station libido, right?
It doesn't get me
Not
as
a gas
hard.
station
Yeah.
libido enhancer.
Yeah.
Final question of the game. It is a number question, so everybody gets one guess. One guess. Hannah, do you hear that? And closest gets it. So here we go. Known for their thick skin, what is the maximum thickness their skin usually is or can be? Steven.
3 inches.
Okay. Zach.
So we're just like choosing inches or centimeters or whatever we want.
Choosing inches. Yep. Inches is
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Is that the unit
Inches?
inches?
Well, I was gonna say 10 centimeters. I don't know what that is in inches.
I know what
Okay.
it is in inches.
That's about 4.
10 centimeters. Got it.
Wow, that's way more than I meant.
Alden, go for
I'm
it.
just gonna go 9 inches. I'm just gonna go crazy.
You didn't go as crazy as Grumpy.
16.
Grumpy! Holy crap. Brian says 1 unit of correct skin thickness.
That is there.
All right. Steven came from behind and tied.
Nice.
Boom. All right.
High
There can only be one. There can only be one, though, y'all.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh man,
That's
I'm gonna
generally what
lose.
we do. That's generally what we do. We do
Cock, paper,
1,
scissors.
2, 3, shoot. Okay. It's
Okay.
rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right. Ready? Get your hand up in front of the camera, Zach, so we can all see. All right. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Was that
I have
scissors?
paper.
Ah, Steven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven gets it, y'all.
The gentleman's win.
The gentleman's win. That's exactly right.
Nice.
All right, y'all. That was Libations Trivia. Thank y'all to the audience for playing along. Sorry y'all didn't win. Y'all
Otto von
hung in
Bismarck.
there for a while. Otto von Bismarck.
I'm
Shout out
still
to
laughing
Otto von
at that.
Bismarck.
Yeah, man. Still laughing at that.
All right, y'all. Let's get into some of our other topics for the evening. What's our first one, Zach?
The brewery.
So yeah, we try to highlight whenever a
Moon
brewery
River.
or distillery, mostly
Yeah.
breweries, close in Georgia because we are Liberty Libations. Moon River Brewing Company, Alden,
One of our college
Yeah.
stomping ground spots. Yeah.
has shut down.
Weren't we just there for
We
the
were just there.
yeah,
Mhm.
For the banished Big
for
Brother.
the Big
get
Brother
together.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunate. That was
I
a great
mean,
place. It was right on the river.
Well,
It was awesome.
Because spot
Big
is
Brother
probably,
stepped in and taxed him to death. Apparently.
yeah.
That's exactly right.
The spot is probably hella expensive, man. I don't know.
I've seen some comments on some local forums, basically saying that it has something to do with some businesses next door. They're saying that the food they've been getting there has been increasingly mediocre since COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will say the food was never their strong suit. I'm going to say that
Yeah.
right now. It was the beer.
Was the beer their strong suit though?
The beer was good.
It was okay.
Yeah, they
I
had
liked
great
that
beer.
place.
Yeah, I mean, we literally had a Banished Big Brother event at
That table.
At that table.
Yeah. It was literally this table. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the
How crazy would it be if that was us right there?
the food was fine. Like, it wasn't anything to write home about. Like, it was fine.
I've had worse pub food.
I've had worse pub food for sure. I mean, the waitresses spilled an entire tray of drinks on me. So
I forgot about
that definitely got them a little. Maybe. I mean,
I had
the argument
wet
could be made
pants.
that I made it my mission to destroy that brewery, but
I had wet pants for like the remainder of the night. That it was funny.
Yeah. It was terrible. You and I, that was.
But
awful.
then the key is you just get drunk enough that you don't notice your wet pants, and that's fine.
No,
or
you
that
just
you pee
drunk enough
yourself.
to pee. Yes.
Yeah, right.
That's the one.
And then you can only blame you.
Yeah.
So it's just, and that's what we're seeing increasingly in Georgia, because we have some very antiquated beer laws.
Yeah. Fucking.
So despite our illiterate neighbors in Louisiana and Mississippi, they are drastically outpacing us with bringing beer laws up to the modern era, where you can actually make a living.
Yeah,
a lot of the
like
ones
a
that are
brewery.
surviving in today's economic climate here in Georgia is, if you're a brew pub,
Mhm.
you have to draw crowds with both your beer and your food.
Yeah.
You can't have mediocre one or the other and still expect to thrive.
Can you
It's how
serve
you
beer
do-
without food there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because it used to be that a brewery had to sell tickets. I don't know if this is still true, but when I was
This
at
was
Scout-
just 6 years ago, Alden.
okay,
Just
yeah,
6 years ago, man.
because it used to be that you had to sell tickets to
Yeah.
tour the facility, and then you got a beer, but you couldn't buy the beer at the
Right.
brewery. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. So now
used to
you
be
can
clubs
take
that
up to
would-
a 12-pack home with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian's
There
right.
used to be clubs that would be like, you're buying the buffet that nobody is ever going to eat. And then just it happens.
They put
that
out
everyone
fake
goes
food.
in and they go dance and drink instead of eating food. But
And then there's
Brian-
just a
Brian-
salad
Brian-
bar at the club. That's hilarious.
There are crazy laws around beer delivery. You can go watch. There's an old Free Georgia podcast episode that I did with the malty brewer, and we talked all about these insane laws.
The malty brewer.
Dude, it's it's wild how much red tape. Like they're legally required to get a distributor. They cannot
Mhm.
distribute the beer themselves.
Yeah.
Not even next door.
Yeah.
Not even
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
door. It's so idiotic, man.
It's to give the middleman, the big distribution companies, a lot of money. It's
Well,
bullshit.
and then the Craft Brewers Guild, they're gaining some clout. They're new with their political caucus. It was just formed, at the end of last year. So the Foam Act was their first big legislative push, and they got greedy, man.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to allow microbreweries to self-distribute, but they went for 500 beer barrels for the initial limit.
As the definition of a microbrew.
Yeah, well, no, in terms of how much a microbrewery could self-distribute, they were trying to say that they could self-distribute 500 beer barrels a year.
Because
I
the
mean,
other
around
way
here in Hopkins, Fayette, and Coweta counties, with these up and coming breweries, I mean, there's some breweries that are almost packed to the hilt
yeah.
every day of the week that they're open, and they don't even produce 500 barrels a year.
That's what I was saying is
So for the Foam Act to say they could self-distribute more than most microbreweries are even producing, you're getting a little greedy.
Yeah.
Start with 100, because by the way, a beer barrel is 31 gallons.
Yeah.
So for a microbrewery, if you have an open tap room, to be able to self-distribute, let's say 100 barrels.
But he says this brew talk is giving me a yeast infection.
There we go.
Oh
There we
my
go.
God.
And fun fact, a butt load is a unit of measurement.
butt load.
Now the soccer mom correcting her child in the checkout line in front of me one day didn't appreciate me bringing that fact up. But it's something like 400 liters. It's a butt, butt. So
That's great.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about breweries. We, the Mises Caucus, part of the Libertarian Party, gathered in Georgia last night at Reformation Brewery in Woodstock. It was awesome. There were a whole bunch of us there. We had a great time. Anybody out there who would like to join the Libertarian Party or, learn what we're all about, keep tuning into this show. Tune into the Free Georgia podcast. We're recruiting hardcore this year and over the next couple of years for folks to join the LP in Georgia. And
I do my best to make it sound appealing,
especially join the Mises Caucus. That's my primary vehicle within the LP. And yeah, I mean, we had a fantastic time last night, and we're going to have many more get-togethers over the coming months. So if you'd like to be a part of it, if you'd like to come hang out and drink some beers, drink some whiskey, I'm hoping to go to a distillery rather than a brewery at some point, because I'd much prefer to drink whiskey than beer. That's
I like both.
Brian says a butt is equal to 2 hogsheads.
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right, what's next on our list of things to talk about?
All right, so I'm assuming I'm skipping all the bail stuff that we didn't get to.
Skipping all the bail stuff.
Why is a pork shoulder also called a pork butt?
Interesting. I don't know. We're moving on from that conversation though.
Sorry.
He's got butts on the mind.
RFK Jr. has not qualified for the debate that happens a week from today. He had to get 15% in at least 4 national polls and ballot access in enough states for 270 electoral votes, but fell just short. Okay, my question is, I tried to find it. I could have sworn that he got the 270 electoral vote states already.
I thought I heard that too.
And I have seen multiple national polls where he's at more than 15%. So either I am very delusional and mistaken, or there is some
they did some fudgery right before this
things happening. Like they redefined what national poll is or something like that.
Well, consider the source. It says sources like it's plural, and then it just says NBC News.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
source
true.
NBC. Yeah.
But he is not going to be at the debate that's happening in Atlanta next Thursday.
Um,
I'm not surprised, man. They just don't let other people do debates that make sense. So
I'm not surprised either. What's that?
Is CNN still in Atlanta? I thought they sold that building.
They did sell. That's what I was saying. They sold that building. So I don't know where they're having it, but they're having it at a stage somewhere in CNN's hosting. So I don't know if
unless they're just renting their space now, they don't own the building anymore.
Yeah, I mean they could be having it in my basement.
Oh, right.
So that'd be great. But
because they also have the big food courtyard and the hotel and maybe CNN's they still just have like their studio on that floor and everything else they sold to somebody.
They could, yeah, but they're having it here. Look, it's not surprising that they're excluding him from the debate. It is, from what I was reading and all the polls that I was reading, and the fact that I'm 98% certain that he got those 270 electoral vote possibilities.
I remember seeing that too. And Zane's not here to tell us that the Mandela effect isn't real. So
what if it was like the most recent poll or some silly shit or whatever, some loophole law thing where it's like he was polling higher and then they were like, oh, let's ask this group. And then, he doesn't make it in at that one. I don't know. But
what I do like is that he's going to spend $100,000 in ads during the debate. So every time there's a commercial, you're going to get an RFK ad immediately after.
My man.
I like that strategy.
That's hilarious.
Another great thing about the debate, which I have been wanting them to do this for years, there will be no studio audience.
Okay.
So you're not all these dum-dums who just take sides no matter what and who take sides based on who's cheering the most.
Yeah.
They're now going to have to make up their own minds. They're all going to have to think for themselves and just
when we
that's hard.
Rate who won.
It's not going to happen that way though. The media is going to spin it immedially after it's all done and play clips and give their take. So instead of getting the audience's reaction, which always sucks anyway, you're going to get Rachel Maddow or whatever.
I'm talking more about the people who watch it live. Like there are going to be a bunch of people that watch it live who have not made up their mind or have no idea what they're talking about, or who don't do their own research or don't actually look into it, like issues and anything or everything. And I love the idea of no studio audience. I've been wanting this for a very long time because it creates your statements live on their own merit.
Have you ever seen a scene from like an old sitcom from the 90s without the laugh box kind of thing? And you're
painful.
Yeah. And then, so
Friends without the laugh track is insufferable.
See?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, Friends, I'm not a fan of Friends, to be honest, but like I could probably get down with some Seinfeld or something without the laugh track or whatever. But like, anyway, it makes like when you don't have the sway, when you don't have the sway of other people, it limits the whole groupthink thing. And I honestly, I feel like it's probably the way it should have been any goddamn way. But
yeah, absolutely. Just imagine Trump though, like being the sociopath.
He feeds off of the audience,
not having a crowd.
Yeah,
not the laugh track.
Ross is the worst.
Yes, absolutely.
That's actually probably really true.
Yeah. Now, one of my friends was telling me about Big Bang Theory without the laugh track. They're like, oh yeah, listen to that without the laugh track, and I was still laughing.
Okay,
so,
there are some like
but you're totally right about Trump. Like he feeds off that energy. Although he did do a great job where in a room full of libertarians booing the ever living crap out of him, he still spoke what he wanted to like.
Do you know what I feed off of? It's cheap tequila, and I need more. So
yeah, hey, there you go.
Later.
I think rather than no studio audience, I would rather see like a randomly selected studio audience, like freaking jury duty or something. Just like selected that way, where it's the common person rather than the donor class.
How about just run around Atlanta for the 2 hours leading up to it and find all the homeless people and just put them in there, give them a free sandwich, have them.
The more deranged, the better.
The more deranged, the better. That would be the best kind of entertainment.
The homeless in Atlanta, dude. I'm telling, like the jokes they will tell you for $5, because that's I don't give money away for free. You've got to provide a service. Make me laugh. Can you juggle? Can you tap dance? Are you funny? Do something for me, dude. Entertain me for a minute, and I'll give you $5. And then like some of the jokes they have are amazing.
Well,
they always come up to me as I'm getting out of my car, and I feel like, well, this is the price to not have my car messed with now. So
I forget who it was. Somebody was saying it was Adam Nutter. He was saying that when he gets out of the car and there's a homeless guy around, he'll walk up to the homeless guy, give him $20, and say, "Can you please look after my car?"
Oh, that was Nutter, yeah.
In Argentina, that's basically like formalized. You park your car on the street, and some guy will be standing there to take his bribe to not fuck with your car.
Wow. Wow. It's like mafia protection for your car.
Yeah, it's a great business model. It works very well. But yeah, I mean, this isn't surprising to any libertarian. And what's really frustrating is all the people like dunking on this and saying, yeah, he doesn't deserve it. He's crazy. This is idiotic. Like, he doesn't deserve to be in the debates. He's taking votes away from Biden. He's taking votes away from Trump, all this garbage. Like people just, the idea to exclude somebody from a debate who met the qualifications, from what I saw, met the qualifications to make the debate, and now they're still excluding him, is absolutely wild.
I don't even know why we have such strict qualifications for a third member anyway.
Yeah, that's
in general. Jill Stein was up there. I mean, we had Rosie O'Donnell up there one year, didn't we?
I don't remember that. I don't know.
Not that I remember.
I don't know if it was like the CNN debate, but Rosie O'Donnell was on the stage for a while for the Green Party.
Well,
I mean, she swiftly got her ass kicked. But
so all these people who are always saying, like, we need 5% to get on the debate stage. All this stuff. Even if we get that, they're not going to let us on the debate stage.
That's what I'm saying. Is
raise it to 15?
Libertarians never going to get on the debate stage. Like,
no, they have
which is why Angela brought the other candidates to our stage.
There we go.
Yeah,
that's
kudos.
Exactly it. That's exactly it.
Are you talking about Trump at the convention, or
Trump and RFK? Both of them.
Yeah.
Biden too, and he said no.
Of course, yeah.
So I understand RFK's plight. I hate they're doing that to him, but on the other hand, Now we don't have to see Trump beat up on 2 handicapped people.
Yeah. Well, I want to see them, RFK and his lawyerness now, send the CNN people to jail, because that's what he was threatening, is that Trump and Biden are not the nominees right now. They are the presumptive nominees, which has no legal meaning.
Right.
But they're allowing them in based on that fact, and they're not allowing him in based on a completely different set of rules.
Yeah.
So he was saying not only could you be like sued, you could be criminally charged and sent to jail for doing this. And I hope he does.
He is a lawyer, right? Like his background is a lawyer. So yeah.
I love that, and I'm so looking forward to the ads that he runs.
Me too.
They're filming something right now for next week. It's gonna be great.
But that's also kind of weird. It's like CNN didn't let me in, so I'm buying a lot of advertisement space from them.
I hope he runs some gangster ass ads, dude. Yeah, that would be hilarious.
That would be so much fun.
Especially if the ads mention specifically, CNN kept me off the stage.
Yeah.
So I'm here on this ad to talk to you.
Yeah.
Remember when like the old libertarian candidates like Michael Badnarik, I think, and maybe even a few others, they would just like try to walk in and get arrested.
Nice.
Like, I'm going into this debate. You can stop me, I guess. And they do, and they arrest them. But then that makes more headlines than, us debating ourselves.
That's
or somebody
the
from
political
the party
equivalent of like the Rage Against the Machine. Like in the 90s, they were declared a terrorist group and they were banned from playing on Wall Street, and they flash mobbed Wall Street, and like someone filmed it. Actually,
one of their videos.
It was Michael Moore that filmed it.
It was Michael Moore.
It was Michael Moore. Okay,
he's in the video,
and they all get arrested. Like, anyway. I was like, I haven't seen that in so long. And I was like, I think that's Michael Moore. The fact that you know that, Zach, to confirm my weird drunken suspicion is amazing. Cheers, brother.
All right. Next up on the topic list is Steven's favorite person, his idol,
Michael Moore.
Mr. Alex Jones. Let's pull up this article. Alex Jones's personal assets to be sold to pay $1.5 billion Sandy Hook debt. Company bankruptcy is dismissed. All right, Steven, tell us what we need to know.
Okay, so basically what happened is there was the CRO, the chief revenue officer of Free Speech Systems, which was the parent company of InfoWars. They so drastically overstepped and colluded with the prosecuting attorneys to do certain things. Like they actually tried to like let the feds into the studios and lock the doors and lock Alex Jones out and like take all his stuff and throw it out on the curb. They were trying to do all this stuff without a court order. Mm-hmm. So like they knew that the hearing on how this all was going to be, how it was all going to go down, how he's going to divide up his assets to be able to pay this bill, this, that, and the other. They knew the hearing was Tuesday. Sunday night, they were trying to throw all his stuff out of the studio and lock the doors. And he caught wind of that. And he went to the studio and spent the night because he went there and saw that there were people from his board of directors that were trying to like, show these other attorneys around and show some federal agents around about like where the main exits were, where everything was. And he walks in and says, hey, what's going on? And they're like, well, we're liquidating everything. We're shutting the doors. We're taking you off the air. We're taking over the studio. And he says, cool. Where's the court order? And they didn't have one. And he's like, okay, I'm calling the sheriff. Get your ass out of my studio right now. And so then it finally goes to court earlier this week. And then they all had to explain what was going on. And then the judge was like, you know what? All this was on the up and up. You guys had it. You were going to pull the plug. But what you just did right here, Alex Jones is majority owner of the LLC. He owns this company. He has owned this company. He owns the studio. You don't have the ability to kick him out. You can't lock the doors. Mm-hmm. You have drastically overstepped.
Yeah.
Get out of my courtroom. And first of all, the $1.5 billion judgment.
It's ridiculous.
Right. Because like, what about Adam Lanza? Now, obviously he offed himself like a good commie, But what about his family? You know what I mean?
I don't know much about this.
Are mom and dad getting sued for millions and billions of dollars? They're the ones that actually killed the people.
Right.
You know, if you want to follow the logical chain of this lawsuit, all Alex Jones did was talk about it. And then some of his subcontractor reporters took it upon themselves to go too far. And he publicly outed them on his show.
There shouldn't even be.
I was listening to it when he's like, Dan Badandi doesn't work for me anymore. He's an asshole. I told him to stop. He didn't stop.
Yeah.
He's harassing these families. Hey, families, if you're listening to this, punch Dan Badandi in the face. He doesn't work for me anymore.
For what Alex Jones does is just talking about things, and sometimes he spews a little too, you know, he gets a little emotional and he goes off on a tangent and he says some unsubstantiated things sometimes, right?
Right.
Sometimes when he's right, and when he's wrong, he's like, he went a little far.
Well,
but
and
that's not hurting anyone. Like
when he's doing his homage to Rush Limbaugh, you know, when he's doing that number, and he's got the documents, you know, and then they do the document cam and he's citing the sources. You can't touch that,
right?
Because you can go to those sources all day.
What Alex Jones does is he tells things how he sees it. Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes he gets it wrong. Sometimes he gets it right. He does not tell people go out there and harass the parents of the Sandy Hook people.
No.
He did that. 500 people that did it immediately.
People did it on their own volition.
I've never heard anything. To be fair, I've not listened to every word he's ever said, but I've never heard anything that he said that sounded like he was trying to like rally the troops kind of thing to like make any action or whatever.
That's not his move.
No,
he just comes up with theories based on things that he investigates, and sometimes,
and then you know, the whole spiel, the whole line of thought, the whole logical train of this is a false flag is based on Wolfgang Halbig, who at the time was a state trooper in Connecticut, and it was his job to investigate, do the postmortem investigation, and he was stonewalled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, and Wolfgang Halbig had, I think it was like 15 questions. I've got the old magazine somewhere at my house, and I swear to God, Ken Golden.
No, there's straight up some weird stuff around Sandy Hook for real. Like I'm not trying to say he went as far as to say something one time like it didn't happen or something more extreme or something like that.
Well, I mean, he did straight up come out and say this didn't happen because he had multiple government officials in that area that were trying to investigate and were stonewalled, or they got in there and they're like, none of this is being handled like a murder scene.
Right. On one hand, I'll even say
none of the protocol was followed. You know, you had
the same as with JFK, and like just like the chain of custody just disappears, and the protocol just like is treated and then they have some reason for it, whether it's 9/11, if it's JFK, if it's Vegas, more in a modern thing. Like they're all like, oh, well, we did it differently because there was this emergency. It's like, no, that's why we have these protocols, is so that you go about it a certain way, even when it is an emergency.
And you get a lot of the usual suspects in the same damn place in the same kind of thing. Because like with Vegas, you get the captain of police there. All of a sudden, he's down in Lahaina, and he's on the police force down there. You know, after the laser fires burned everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a second, weren't you in Vegas a few years ago? What are you doing now? What's happening?
Yeah.
You know,
too many similar names, but
some folks are just magnets for shitstorms. I get that.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, there's also just a ton of Hawaiians in Vegas, so maybe that would be the simple explanation. No, I'm not joking at all. Yeah. There's a ton of Hawaiians in Vegas.
You mean in paradise? Yeah.
Right. But with the Sandy Hook thing,
I'll be right back.
So where Alex Jones got his entire basis for this was a guy named Wolfgang Halbig. He was a state trooper for Connecticut, and he was trying to run his investigation, and he was stonewalled on multiple levels. He was going there and he was raising red flags because it was also his job to inspect certain schools, around the state for safety. Because obviously, in the wake of Columbine, that's a big issue for public schools is, if we do a lockdown protocol, what do we do if we have multiple shooters? Because we only have one main entry and exit, or, a second, and then a secondary exit. What do we do if we have two shooters and they come in both of those corridors? They're trying to run all those drills, things like that. So he's looking at, safety from active shooter perspective for multiple schools around the state of Connecticut. And so he's going there and he's trying to like do that as part of his postmortem. And he's just being stonewalled at every avenue by federal agents.
Yeah, of course.
And he's like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm trying to help you out. What's going on? And
they don't want to get too close to it. Yeah.
He goes in there and he says, one day there's 24 feds around the building. Not a single damn one is wearing gloves or carrying bags.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all touching stuff. And he's like, are we doing an investigation here? Or what's going on?
They're going by their own rules. They got their own marching orders. Like, Sandy Hook's legitimately just one of many weird things.
Wolfgang Halbig, I mean, he went on multiple news networks, Fox, CNN, and he had a list of questions. And that's what Alex Jones ran with. Yeah. And now they ran that Wolfgang Halbig guy to the ground too. He moved to Florida. They bankrupted him. He had to liquidate. He had to retire. All that kind of stuff. So I mean, they smeared him in the sidewalk too. But now for Alex Jones to get the $1.5 billion judgment,
and back to that
when that whole theory did not even originate with him. I mean, he was probably the biggest voice echoing that theory.
He's the biggest name like propagating the theory or whatever. Sure, but does that matter? Does that warrant a lawsuit of any amount of money, like let alone billions of dollars or whatever? But I don't understand how it's even what are they saying? It's like emotional damages or defamation, or I don't know what the grounds are because I don't give a shit and I've not looked into it because it's fucking horse shit anyway. But I don't understand how we're even at the point. I'm sorry, it makes me too mad. Like where it's like freedom of speech stuff, and you've got your scapegoat guy that takes the fall for saying something, and he goes a little too off the rails sometimes, and he says something that hurts someone's feelings or whatever. So what? I don't understand how that involves now a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. I don't agree with everything that he says, right? But so this is just detached from him as a person, but just the underlying rules and laws and principles of how this works. Like, how is it that we even have this situation where he's getting sued for 150 billion fucking ridiculous unicorn dollars or some magical number that they just pull out of emotional damages air? I don't get it.
And that wasn't even it, because the state of Texas came out and I think they got a $400 million judgment out of Texas. So it's almost $2 billion.
That's ridiculous. My God.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, how do you prove multi-billion-dollar defamation?
Or any amount, even like back to multi-billion is just insane.
Well, and then and Shane Gillis had a good point on Rogan the other day.
Shane Gillis, the comedian Shane Gillis. I know Shane Gillis, yeah.
If they got Alex for $1.5 billion for just saying, "Hey, some stuff with Sandy Hook looks kind of shady," how much should Fauci be on the hook for?
Right.
Oh shit! See, and
that's W. Bush.
He's one.
W. Bush. Yeah.
He's one that actually he is causing damages, and so like I could see that more because he is making laws and he's motivating people and practices and shutting down businesses, and then he's lying about saying that he's like, I never said I was shutting anything down, and then he the clip right afterwards like, and we need to shut it down, so he's doing a thing that is actually costing people their livelihood and money and all kinds of other and so there is a monetary number that you could assign to that, and that one I could actually understand.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and Gillis didn't bring up Fauci. He brought up Bush and the Iraq thing because he said, "Hey, based on what we know is an absolute lie, we've gone and we've killed over 1 million Iraqis
for nukes under someone's porch or whatever."
Look at this judgment that this guy got for saying, "Hey, that probably didn't happen to 24 kids."
Yeah,
and then we have over 1 million Iraqis. And how many thousands of U.S. troops dead because of they had weapons of mass destruction.
$3 trillion.
Never found. Yeah, exactly. Like,
which, by the way, somebody got fired from I think the Bush administration for saying it might cost $1 trillion. They're like, no, that's ridiculous. You're fired. And it was free.
Trillion. Yeah, Rumsfeld lost $1 trillion in his couch cushions those years.
1.2.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. 1.3, 1.2.
It's all just monopoly money at this point. Like, these numbers mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
You might as well say gajillion. Like, it's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
But and that's what they're trying to do, and that's so like the recent overturning. This is how he still has a show, was because they got overzealous. Okay, so the nail in the coffin. They got the judgment. All they had to do was shut up and go away. But that wasn't enough. They want to own this man's soul. They want to take everything he's got. They want to take his name, image, and likeness and own it, and make sure that he can't ever even order his own food in a restaurant because he'll have to speak to do it.
Yeah, but they're calling it the annoying thing is they're calling it justice, but what it actually is just vengeance.
It's not even vengeance. It's these poor families. That some of them have kids that were killed. Okay, they were there. They're not there now. That's a horrible tragedy, and now they're being further manipulated by these vindictive attorneys that just want to. They see this as a power grab. That once they control every aspect of what is Alex Jones, they could deep fake his message and just he'll be the next Anderson Cooper.
Real vengeance too would. Oh, go ahead, Zach.
It seems like they almost had to invent a new crime for this too, which they called stochastic terrorism. Which is just stochastic. So it's like you just said something and then some idiot took you too seriously and did something bad. It's like, that's still, that's just something they made up around the time all this was happening. And even like so-called libertarians fell for it and are like, yeah, stochastic terrorism, that's a thing. Even though I heard about it 5 minutes ago, that should be part of the law.
Let's talk about the stochastic terrorism. How about when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, for the first time in our nation's history, the United States Congress issued a decree condemning a private citizen, saying Rush Limbaugh is a big old doo-doo head.
Was that
gosh, I hope those exact words.
They issued this whole decree about like how he's not a good person.
Yeah, the same thing happened as soon as Biden became president. They decreed against Steve Bannon. I forget how they did it, but they're like, Steve Bannon sucks and we hate him. And now
Rush Limbaugh was the first one though, and they sent it to the CEO of Cumulus Media, which was really weird because Rush Limbaugh and all his prescience, he always aired his show over an ISDN line, over the phone line. So no one's really airing his show. They're just tuning into his conference call.
Oh, so it's like more of a private thing where gotcha.
He saw
Steven, you might know about this, but wasn't William Cooper also like kind of like given like a label of some such kind of thing, like a threat to democracy type thing, or like
Bill
FBI?
Bill Clinton absolutely sent the Secret Service to murder his ass.
I know that was what happened. But the official, like, I thought there was like an official government level, like this man's dangerous because of whatever type thing before that or whatever to justify his death later.
The first edition of Behold a Pale Horse did actually declassify information, and the FBI went to bookstores around the country and rounded it up, as many of them up as they could.
Yeah. So is the copy that I have, if it was printed after, is that not the same? It has different material in it than the first edition?
Some stuff was edited, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Kick in your door any moment.
Yeah. Yeah, if I go dark.
You have the newer version, Alden. You definitely don't have the dangerous one.
Oh, right, yeah. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going after him to bury him, and they've tried a million times, and he keeps coming back because he's always going to come back because that's what determined, smart, awesome people do.
We were talking to circle all the way back to the beginning of this when we were talking about the bail stuff and like court cases and setting a precedent, and then just citing another case and being like, well, it won over there. Like his is like the scapegoat fall guy precedent kind of a thing where it's like, see, don't spread misinformation and don't say anything bad about whatever. Like, I'm telling you, this is just a big cultural, like, no fucking, like, like example thing or whatever with a $2 billion
slap. He's
slap.
catching it now. I mean, they did it to Laura Loomer really badly.
Who the hell is Laura Loomer?
She was
horrible reporter. She
used to work for Breitbart. Just a heads up. Definitely don't see eye to eye with her on many things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I wouldn't want to look in her eyes.
Laura Loomer? I don't know this name at all.
She's hideous.
She's infamous for one thing for chaining herself to Twitter headquarters
That was kind of cool.
Like
when
the
Twitter
tree
first
hugger
started to
move?
ban political speech and stuff like that.
Physically chaining too?
Yes, she physically
And
chained
she was
herself
wearing
to
like a
Twitter.
Jew star when she did it. So.
Yep.
The Star of David, Zach. The Star of David.
But what? So she.
Well,
I mean,
it was
she's a
like the one
reporter
from
slash
Germany,
activist.
I think. It said Jude.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I thought you said
she's
Jew
a reporter
Star.
slash activist.
I did say
but one
that,
thing
actually.
she did that was a total gangster move. After Pelosi did something to kind of open the borders up while she was still Speaker of the House, she knew Pelosi was like over in France or somewhere over in Europe or something like that. And so she went to all the Home Depots in the neighboring cities and rounded up an actual busload of illegal immigrants and had a freaking barbecue on Nancy Pelosi's lawn and live streamed it on Alex Jones's show.
Okay, that's pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah, because she's like, oh, you like illegal immigrants so much? We're right outside your compound right now, Miss Pelosi. We're having a barbecue. We're having a good old time. You hear the festival music?
Okay, I'm a fan of that. I mean, if she does 100 things, I'm gonna like one of them. So
yeah, exactly. But so not long after that, that's when she got totally deplatformed. Right about the time that Alex Jones got kicked off of Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, all that stuff. She was running a U.S. Senate campaign. How many butts in a busload? 400. She was running a U.S. Senate campaign in Donald Trump's district. She was going to be Donald Trump's U.S. senator for Florida.
Unfortunately, she's an Israel firster, not an American firster.
I'm not advocating her one bit, but what I'm saying is this is what they skewer people, and is just because I don't see eye to eye with her on everything doesn't mean I can't speak up for her rights.
Correct.
And what they did, PayPal kicked her off, Venmo kicked her off.
One of these.
She couldn't get Uber, she couldn't get DoorDash, she couldn't get Uber Eats, she couldn't order a taxi. Basically any digital platform that makes your life convenient, she could not use it.
Yeah.
And she was still double digits in the polls for her U.S. Senate run, which was fantastic.
I've heard of a lot of people in like the sort of the circles that I follow, the weird, dark conspiratorial circles that like they are not able to use any of these platforms. Like it is sad that that's the reality that we live. It's not for many people, and so a lot of people aren't afraid of it, but there are a select few people that are like targeted, and it's like well, it's a private company and it's in their thing that you signed the user agreement thing, and they can make you basically like not have access to it or whatever. And it's like, I don't know how you guys feel about that, because it's kind of a funky libertarian gray area with like the user agreement, like company, like private, like sign the thing to use the service or whatever thing that they're legally saying that's how they're able to.
They're almost always doing it because of government pressure, though.
Yeah, I was gonna. Thank you. You're circling to my ultimate point with it. Yeah, exactly. But exactly, that's why I said it's like a gray area kind of a thing. Because like on paper, it looks like it's like a private, sort of like legally decision thing. But I totally agree and understand the same concept that it's like it is a state level pressure thing for sure. Deep state level pressure maybe, but in some cases.
Oh, for sure, 100%. All right, let's move on.
Or like the truckers doing the whole. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just another case where this happened that was like more. One of the things that was more widespread was the Canadian trucker whole thing or whatever, and they shut down their PayPal and they shut down their GoFundMe and they shut down the whatever, and like they tried to really cancel that from like.
I mean, they did the Kevin Bacon approach to that. Anybody that was
had a dance off
removed from a Canadian trucker got punished. We monitored you and made sure the IRS audited you, or the Canadian version of the IRS, audited you. Bank accounts were shut down in the States for American citizens that never were even physically on the ground over there.
Yeah.
If you send
that's like the mafia level. Yeah.
Right. You send a Canadian trucker $250. Like, yeah, dude, fuck yeah. I love your Instagram picture. Yeah. Love your video that you did.
Yeah.
I'm totally behind you, man. Love you. And you sent the money and you posted that you sent the money. Yeah.
And now audited. Your mother's Etsy account is canceled. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You got audited that year. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. But you know what they couldn't cancel is they couldn't shut down your Bitcoin.
Yeah, there you go.
Shut down your Bitcoin. Bitcoin wallets are always open,
There you go.
And Etsy kind of took Bitcoin early on. Like, I don't know if they officially integrated it, but they were cool with people like off, sort of offline doing Bitcoin.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. All right, let's go to the next one. Zachary.
All right.
Suggest you keep saying propping up zombie companies. Are you arguing to let airlines, for example, fail?
Yes.
Why? I mean, how does that make sense in the broader scheme of the economy?
Because it's not, because when you look at what it means, this is why I'm saying, like, this is a lie that's been purported by Wall Street. When a company fails, it does not fire their employees. It goes through a packaged bankruptcy, right? If anything, what happens is the people who have the pensions inside those companies, the employees of these companies, end up owning more of the company. The people that get wiped out are the speculators that own the unsecured tranches of debt, or the folks that own the equity. And by the way, those are the rules of the game. That's right, because these are the people that purport to be the most sophisticated investors in the world. They deserve to get wiped out. But the employees don't get wiped out. The pensions don't typically get wiped out.
Why does anybody, I just don't understand, why does anybody deserve, using your word, to get wiped out from a crisis created like this? How does anybody deserve to get wiped out?
Well, but just be clear, like, who are we talking about? We're talking about a hedge fund that serves a bunch of billionaire family offices. Who cares? Let them get wiped out. Who cares? They don't get the summer in the Hamptons. Who cares?
Yeah,
that's exactly right. And then and then the concept of the pension funds as well. I mean, this is the big problem with hey, you're upset with your property taxes going up. I'm in Fayette County. They just went up 25% again this year.
25?
Are you serious?
90% of the increase was the freaking school board. The school board, which was allowed to publish a budget deficit last year and this year, even though they just got a splost, giving them $10 million a year for the next decade.
What is this word you just said? A
splost?
Splost?
Special local option sales tax. Yeah. It's just a penny, bro. It's just a penny, bro. It's 1%. It's not a penny. It's 1% of all the sales in the whole county, which in Fayette was projected at $10 million a year.
25% is that's. I mean, I think even when renting, like, I don't know if this is state or like national or whatever, but like I think it was only 10% was like the legal maximum that someone could like raise their rent year to year or something. 25% is fucking ludicrous.
Plus it's 1% more.
Oh my god.
It's not like we're paying a 1% tax. We're paying 1% more.
If it's 25% the second year on now the base number before, it's more than now a 50% increase in 2 years. That's fucking crazy.
Because what they've done and the way they're pushing this is they're saying that like, oh well, it's a 5% increase.
And zoo.
Well, it's a 5% increase based on the valuations,
right?
Because they're saying that property values are going up, but they also agreed to not adhere to the rollback rate. So the way property taxes, a lot of Washington math, there's the millage rate involved, and then you get the rollback rate. The school board gets to turn on or off, which says, are we gonna max rape you or just half rape you?
Just the tip rape.
Exactly. And then this past year, because the school board was allowed to publish a multi-million-dollar deficit, we went to max rape.
And then they did that 2 years in a row. So then it's like you're pregnant and you have to carry this baby to term. Like, that is, dude, that's a lot.
Some quack's right that like schools are almost a guaranteed yes. Like I've been in, I've worked in schools and I've seen on election day, people come through and are like, hey, all the teachers go over across the street and vote for this right now. Vote yes on the SPLOST. It'll give us more money. And it's like they're getting massive turnout basically from the county workers when the average person, and, a lot of times myself included, like I don't vote in local elections because I don't, really see much of a difference sometimes, or I'm not educated on everything that's going on. But it's
you
like
and me both, brother.
Yeah, the workers are going over there. The county workers, they're voting yes on anything that'll get them more funding.
Yeah.
Vote local, people. Research your local frickin' issues, Zach, Alden. Like we had this one idiotic bill here in Dunwoody that so many people were trying to get passed. They wanted the city of Dunwoody to borrow like $30 million to build a few parks. Borrow $30 million to build a few parks.
What do you need to build a park? Isn't it just like
cut
trees.
They're cutting down trees to put up like playgrounds.
You're cutting the trees down. Most of the parks I go to is the trees. Like
dude, the whole bill proposal was idiotic, and we only supported the people running for office who said they would absolutely shut that crap down. And so it got shut down. How do you
find that information though? Because like half the time on a local race, I'm like, well, this person went to Georgia Tech and this person went to UGA, and that's as much as they say on their website.
So it is exhausting. You have to reach out to them.
Chocolate and one likes vanilla.
You have to get their statements like in person or by email. A lot of them, there's like in Dunwoody, there is a third party website that will
give you their address. You show up at their house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, they will compile as much data as they can get. And so, it is not easy.
I'll tell you a great source of information, which is highly unlikely that libertarians are going to tap into this.
Wikipedia.
If you see a state trooper at a Quick Trip,
what?
I'm dead serious, dude. Talk to this guy. That guy knows things of the local.
I used to talk to cops at like Waffle House when I was eating at like 4 in the morning.
I mean, sheriffs over police, because the police answer to the city managers and the mayors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you see a state trooper, I mean, if you can catch one that you think is kind of cool, hey man, we got this local race coming up. What do you know about any of these guys?
I used to, if I was leaving the bar, there was a Waffle House like right across the street from my bar, so I would like sober up there because I would like drink while I was like cleaning and closing money, and I would buy a cop breakfast there so that when I left, they would think I was cool and not follow me out of there.
Yeah,
it was like
otherwise they would just hand you the handcuffs and be like, you know what to do.
Yeah.
What just happened to Jake Biden?
I don't.
Probably a dog.
He just kind of got lost and wandered off. Oh man! So it's really interesting to see kind of how things are going with just property taxes. Just everything is just over the top because they know you're not paying attention. Whatever smoke screens there are, you got to understand that. When it comes to your mortgage payment, I mean, at least for me now, 20% of my mortgage payment is about to be to the local school board.
Damn. I don't even have kids. So
are your schools any good?
Oh, well, the local elementary school is a lighthouse school, whatever the hell that means.
What is that? Yeah.
I know when my son was in kindergarten there, I was getting phone calls about, well, he chewed his Pop-Tart into a gun and was making gun gestures at one of his classmates. And I'm like, 5-year-old boy made a gun out of a Pop-Tart. Why am I on the phone?
Yeah.
You called me out of a meeting at work for this.
I'm about to chew my roast beef sandwich into a gun. That's a good idea. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm about to pull out an actual gun and shoot myself if I have to keep having these conversations.
I taught him that.
Yeah.
The guns all the time. We do that
on the weekends with waffles.
What kind of gun did he? Yeah, what kind of gun did he chew it into?
Was it?
If it's a Glock, kudos. If it's a Taurus, no.
Taurus, the GX4. Yeah.
Well, it had pink sprinkles on it, so I think it was a Sky.
Sky? Is that the SK YY, like the bullshittiest gun you can get? Like
the one from Daytona, Florida. Yes, sir.
Oh, it's Daytona? No way.
Yep.
I used to live in Daytona. I didn't know that. Oh man. So in my defense for why I don't know dick about my local elections is that I did the math on this, and I have been moving on average, if you count moving into this house recently, it was once every 14 months I was moving. And so I'm I don't know. I'm going to be out of here. I'm going to be living in another county in another city in another 4 months. So I never voted on anything local because I felt weird voting where I'd be impacting that community when I'd be fucking just getting out,
No,
out of Dodge.
Impose your freedom will, Alden.
Alden just votes on who the gypsy chief is for that moon cycle.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Before we go any further, how many people have a hard out or need to get out of here?
I have a hard on. Yeah.
Steven, you good? Steven, are you good?
I'm good for about 20 minutes. I might need a bathroom break in the next few, but I'm good for 20
we'll do one more topic, and then
I've got an empty beer can. I can just pee in that.
We'll do one or two more topics, then we'll watch 3 funny things. Because Steven's gonna love the final funny thing that we have.
Oh
tonight.
yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one because I need to know more about this next one, Zach. Wall Street to list America's protected public lands, including national parks and wildlife refuges, on New York Stock Exchange starting November 17th.
Does that work?
Somebody explain how.
Oh, well, this somebody that wrote the article is explaining it right here. So they're called NACs, natural asset companies.
Okay.
And it's going to be traded. It's going to be publicly traded. And then not only that, but the board of directors for this ticker symbol actually has conservatorship over that area.
No, they don't.
I'm dead serious. They're selling off our public parks to China, y'all.
Yeah.
I was worried about the China companies thing buying them.
No.
Well, if it's public and then anyone can buy it, right? Like,
well, because I got to tell you, it ain't Japan. Because if you read the news, Japan's offloading our treasuries right now, and per capita they hold more. Bottom line, Japan holds more than China of our debt.
Doesn't China own a ton of our land? Not public land, but
that's been their main initiative.
They buy land in every country around the world. It's wild what they do.
A lot in South America.
Except for Greece, Cyprus, and Malta, and I think Spain, that don't allow foreigners to own land.
Oh, that's interesting. Ooh. Really?
Yeah.
Do you know Spain has the most land mass by ratio devoted to growing wine grapes?
Really?
Yeah.
All right, let's move to Spain. I do know that I think it's Costa Rica and Panama. If you buy, I think it's 30 acres, you get citizenship or something.
Oh, that's crazy as a rule. How do you feel about that?
I freaking love it. I'm gonna buy 3 acres and get citizenship in Costa Rica.
So if you're buying,
I don't know. I would go Panama because there was a study done a couple of years ago.
Malaria.
And carrier pigeon is literally faster than their internet.
Oh.
But if I get Starlink, we're all good.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I've got mobile Starlink. We're all good.
Is the incentive there basically that someone that's buying the land is going to be contributing to the economy there? That
I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it just incentivizes.
Yeah.
And behooves them to allow people to come in or whatever.
Yeah, it was interesting. I liked it. But
does that work in America, in the United States?
No.
I didn't think so at that scale. Yeah.
No, you can't.
I would choose Costa Rica because then you get to say Puerto Vida.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as I get to say it.
I've heard that from Booze Traveler.
I've heard Costa Rica has some awesome snook fishing on the coast, so I'm into that.
They got jackfruit the size of you.
You sneaked fishing? What?
Snook fishing. It's a sport fish.
It just sounds like
using snooker balls.
In the past tense, you sneaked
snooker. I play snooker actually.
You snook and fished.
Game.
Yeah, you snooked and fished.
I snooked it in.
Yeah, I saw some Korean version of pool or billiards, whatever you want to call it, but they did not have pockets. They were just hitting the balls around the table. I'm
just bumpers for forever.
They also play soccer on ping pong tables. They're pretty weird.
Yeah, that's strange. I don't get it. I still don't understand the end game of this selling off our parks.
The stock exchange of public land,
just money.
What are we doing? What?
Wait.
If it's halfway decent thing about the United States government was the national parks. Yep. Halfway decent. That was the only.
And even that is there's a weird story there.
It's arguably Malthusian, right? I mean, because Thomas Malthus was the main one advocating for the creation of public parks.
Wasn't Teddy Roosevelt?
No, it's Teddy Roosevelt who did it.
Yeah.
Sure. Thomas Malthus was vocally in favor.
The proponent.
Of public parks.
The voice of it, yeah. Do you know that you're not allowed to do ground scanning? It's illegal to do ground scans in public parks.
Except for that one in Oklahoma where there's diamonds.
Okay, so there's one where there's a financial incentive.
Do they give a reason as to why, Alden?
No, of course not, because they don't want you to know
that
why.
Makes me want to. I've never ground scanned something in my life, but now I want.
Now you want to. Yeah. Don't push the red button. Yeah.
They don't want you finding entrances to the inner earth.
Yeah, see? There you go. Yeah.
Like the giant snake in Ohio. You know.
Yeah.
The ones in GPR out there. See what's up.
Serpent Mound or whatever.
Y'all watch that documentary with Graham Hancock?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him into the Serpent Mound.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a public space. Yeah. What does that tell you?
Well, they wouldn't let him into film. There is a difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is a difference. But like he could go in to just tour it. They would have let him in, but they wouldn't let him in with a camera.
But to think that some guy on Wall Street is going to dictate like the national parks. So like I remember during COVID, I went with some friends up to Anaruby Falls in North Georgia. And they said, "Hey guys, the waterfall's closed." And I said, "I'm pretty sure gravity still freaking exists. I'm going to see the damn waterfall."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, you can't park here." And I was like, "I'm going to park right there."
Yeah.
And he was
park
like,
in the grass.
Well, he's like, "This is a state park." And I was like, "And that is what we call a state right of way."
Yeah, don't fuck with a surveyor on where to park his car. Yeah. He knows where to park his car. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I parked my car and I took a piss on his gate and I went to see the waterfall.
Nice.
Was it beautiful?
It was beautiful. It was absolutely, and there was no one else back there. It was so cool.
Did you say Ruby Falls?
Waterfall. Anaruby Falls.
Oh, I don't know which is this one. Yeah.
And once you get to the falls, you're not even at the end of it. You can climb up onto the top of it, and it's like that's the best part of the trip to me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Although it's really scary. I don't love heights, but
I have a 2-story
Getting
house.
up there is great. Getting down, it's
I am deathly afraid of heights, and now I'm like, it's coming to the time where I gotta buy a ladder and clean the gutters, and my knees are shaking thinking about it. Like it's not great. Like, why did I get a 2-story house? I don't know.
I just get one of those hose attachments.
Oh, you spray it out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those things are genius.
I need I need to do other things. I need to install a bunch of shit. I gotta do a drip edge flashing and shit, and there's a bunch of stuff, but I'm scared. I don't know if I'm like man enough to admit it or not a man because I'm scared. I don't know where I fall on that, but I'm scared.
It's the latter for sure.
The latcher or the ladder?
You also fall off the ladder.
The ladder that scares him.
So I mean that's something I'd be interested to see. Like what kind of actual, because I said that they're going to have a say in conservatorship. So at that point, like when you see a dead baby in one of the bathrooms at these national parks, do you sue BlackRock? I mean, seriously,
you don't even need ground penetrating radar to see that.
Are literal murder scenes. It's awful. So
I have a friend
does that give us a chain of command to get that fixed?
I have a friend who became a park ranger at I think what's not Alatoona, what's the other Lake Lanier?
Yeah.
And like roughly one person a day dies here is what they told her.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I mean, I do know a lot of people die at Lake Lanier, but I didn't know it was.
Where's Lake Lanier? Where is this?
It's just north. It's in between you and I. Like on the map.
So like
Northeast
or
Northeast Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's northeast of Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's like in between here and Chattanooga.
Usher, Raymond, the rapper from Atlanta. He lost a son there, didn't he?
What? Really?
Yeah, like a jet skiing accident.
It's always jet skis.
Oh, dude, Julio Jones from the Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
He lost like a $4 million diamond bracelet.
Well,
I'm going over there with
if you're jet skiing with a diamond bracelet on,
you might be Julio Jones.
You deserved.
You might be, yeah.
You might be Julio Jones. There we go. All right, final story of the night, and this is just to make fun of dum-dums. So this is Just Stop Oil going to Stonehenge and spraying orange spray paint all over Stonehenge.
Why?
Great question, Alden. Great.
Who's doing this?
Just Stop Oil.
Just Stop Oil?
Yeah, it's
Just Stop Oil spraying CFCs all over Stonehenge.
Yeah, I was
using a petroleum-based product.
Yeah,
great.
It's these dum-dums that glue themselves to the roads, Alden, and all that stuff. And
yeah, absolutely.
Tomatoes on paintings and everything.
Yeah, using
why are the right people never there?
Using a chlorofluorocarbon-based propellant to spray a petroleum product on Stonehenge.
What I do know is that if the four of us were
Ridiculous.
there, these people would have been decked before they got anywhere near Stonehenge.
Or like any
Right.
of our friends. We'd be
Don't
like,
be
yeah,
fucking
good.
with
An excuse
Stonehenge.
for violence. Let's do it.
It's wild.
That's crazy.
How do tourists just let this happen? Like,
Well,
I would obliterate these idiots.
Well, I think the better question is, why do these people think that this is going to be a good thing for their cause?
So first of all, they're not.
Well, and that person, like, no, stop it. No, kick Rufio in the crotch.
Yes.
And take the spray paint.
That's
I
insane.
think it's a chick, but you can still kick him in the crotch.
Whatever. You look like Rufio from behind. I don't know.
They're very angry. They've been told.
Rufio.
They've been
Is that a
told
hook reference?
Oh my gosh.
Rufio.
They've been sold
Sorry.
a narrative that they completely bought into, that oil is ruining the world and mining petroleum is ruining the world, and that they're not going to have a future because we're using oil-based products. But the dumb thing is they're using oil-based products to destroy something
in their hair and on their face and in the clothes they wear. It's fascinating. Yeah, it really is just, hey, have you heard of something called
How did they
cobalt?
get there? How did they get to Stonehenge?
They didn't walk. I'll tell you that.
I doubt it, unless they're a local there. Yeah.
Yeah, they came off of Taylor Swift's airplane,
which apparently they also spray painted.
Yeah, they did that.
Although the rumor is that Taylor Swift's airplane wasn't actually there at the time, so they spray painted a bunch of random people's private jets.
Perfect.
With the Pfizer logo, at least.
Yeah,
that would,
best. Yeah,
more into that. Yeah. You know what's funny is that even pharmaceuticals are petroleum based in this day and age.
Yeah,
everything. Yeah,
and that's actually an interesting thing that we could get into on another, like when it transitioned from more like plant-based to like chemical-based or whatever. And it was actually, I think it was the Rothschilds that were like involved with that whole movement or whatever to get, because they were in the petrochemical industry or whatever. It's a whole thing, but.
And anything that isn't petroleum-based is smeared nowadays.
Right.
Well, how about, dinosaur toys are actually made out of fossil fuels.
That's so good. All right. We've made fun of these dum-dums enough. We have to get to one more story before we get to the funny things, because this is one of the weirdest things I saw this week. Go ahead, Zach. No, not the Malay one.
Oh, I went past
that. That's normal.
That's normal.
I assumed that was the case. Yeah. Click play.
I didn't realize it was a video. Okay.
It's a video, and unmute it.
LA City Council members Hugo Soto Martinez and Nithya Raman were on hand today to help remove the signs. They say the no cruising and no U-turn signs were put up in the 1990s to prevent people in the gay community from meeting up with other gay people.
What?
I was also surprised that these U-turn signs were still up. And at first, they seem a little, okay, it's just a no U-turn sign. But when you learn the history of it and you realize that these were used to profile gay people, it's so important that we have these removed.
Baby gay? What is
the
baby
LA
gay?
City Council members say the signs were put up after the gay community began to grow and because there was a gay bar in that area.
This is fucking insane.
Wow.
Well, it does say midnight to 6 a.m. Like, why is U-turns okay during the day, but after midnight they're suddenly dangerous?
Yeah. Hey, look, get this out to Atlanta, because down here on the south side of Atlanta, that's something I even call it, like when I'm out of town. When I go on vacations and stuff like that, and if people just stop in the middle of the freaking highway and just turn around, I call that the A-town U-turn. Because in my lifetime, that was the first place I ever saw that. If you're in downtown Atlanta and you're on one of the 4-lane streets and you realize you're in the wrong neighborhood, you just like, oh, nope. Then you just U-turn. I didn't know that was a gay signal. I didn't know it was like a gay dog whistle that
you were being hit on.
Yeah.
Gay dog whistle.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're inviting me to dinner, apparently. I had no idea.
Were you in the car with me, Jake, when we were in Savannah and I was on Highway 16 or whatever it is, like going west, and someone was like, oh, I forgot whatever. And I was just like, just ripped it through the median and went back the other way.
I do not remember that. No.
Yeah.
It was very gay of you.
Super
That
gay
was
during that moment, man. That's one of the weirdest, dumbest stories I've seen.
Never even... I could not have guessed.
What are you talking about? What?
Hey,
I
do
don't
you hate
know.
gays?
How
There's
does
your
it
sign.
How does a no U-turn sign prevent you from meeting up with somebody?
It's gonna be hilarious when there's a ton of accidents there now from U-turns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brian says he's seen people driving in reverse several blocks on one-way street.
Yes, sir. Oh man, Miami comes real close. Because like Miami people will just like no blinker, just slam on brakes and turn.
Yeah, the hard right. Yeah,
but Atlanta people will just like nope, wrong way, and like
last time
jump the curb, drive on the sidewalk, just craziness.
Last time I was in Miami, I had the most aggressive Uber driver I've ever had in my life, and his horn was like, no kidding, La Cucaracha, and he blew it at everybody.
La Cucaracha. You recorded that entire trip. That would have been incredible. I'd have streamed that entire trip from this show. That would have been
especially if it's in the wintertime when iguanas are falling out of the trees on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. And you're
South Florida is a trip, man. I hate driving there. I love the food. It's not worth driving. Just like get there, park, and like walk somewhere. Like I don't recommend driving in South Florida, but I can recommend the food. It's a paradox.
Oh yeah.
All right, y'all. That'll wrap it up for today. We're gonna get to some funny videos here in a second. Before we do, in September 27th and 28th, the Great Create is happening in Omaha, Georgia, down at Omaha Brewing Company. We went and scouted out the location today to make sure it's suitable for a film festival, which we'll be having. We'll be having some pretty awesome speakers, including it's Will Harris of White Oaks Pastures, the head of White Oaks Pastures, the guy who created it. He's going to be the speaker on Saturday night during the festival, and then we're going to have a whole mess of other people. There's going to be an awesome like outdoor marketplace. There's going to be barbecue. There's a barbecue food truck at the place that sells barbecue Cuban sandwiches.
Ooh.
Which makes my mouth just water.
We were just talking about South Florida food, man.
I know. And so be on the lookout for it. When can people start getting tickets for that, Zach?
As soon as I put them on the website, which Elizabeth's been bugging me to do that, so I'm going to probably do it this weekend.
Awesome. It's thegreatcreate.org, correct?
Yeah, which not much there right now, but
cool. Well, y'all,
.org. Sure, that's the NPR way.
Yeah.
Put
that in your calendars, y'all. Put that in your calendars. September 27th and 28th down in Omaha, Georgia. There's some great camping grounds nearby, some great cottages. There's some towns with Airbnbs and motels nearby.
The Little Grand Canyon.
I guess the Little Grand Canyon.
Georgia's Little Grand Canyon is about 15 miles southwest of there.
It's like being out west. Red clay, or I don't even know if it's clay, like red dirt canyon. You feel like you're in Arizona or something.
I'm writing this down. I gotta go check this out because
Alden, you gotta come down for it, man. Block off those dates.
What dates? I wasn't listening.
September 27th and 28th. We're going to be doing some live Liberty Libations from Great Create. We're going to be interviewing all sorts of folks while we're there. It's going to be awesome, y'all. We're also sponsored by Rabbit Eye Wine. Go get yourself some Georgia blueberry wine at your local liquor store. There we go. There's a bottle right there. Anything else we need to talk about before we get to the funny stuff?
Can I plug two things real quick?
Yes, please.
All right. I was on the Propaganda Report with Brad Binkley last night, so go check that out.
Heck yeah.
And I have launched a podcast with Elizabeth Melton at banishbigbrother.com. We have content going up there. We have a lot more coming. We're about to be an official, real, recognized organization, and we're going to do some cool stuff with that. So please go subscribe.
Your first show with that was really good for a first show, man.
Dude,
I really enjoyed it.
So good. I listened to it. It was amazing.
I was legit impressed with how well that went off for the first show.
100%.
That's crazy, honestly.
Yeah, y'all sounded like naturals. I was talking about this with Nikki. I was saying, like, y'all have the NPR vibe down.
And,
people love NPR. And, like, people love calm people talking about important issues. And
the energy is very NPR. That's for sure. Yeah,
I've thought the same thing, and I used to love NPR until they started
I did when I was
like
19. Yeah, I was listening to NPR like a weirdo. But for real, man, I listened to the first episode and I was like, he's my friend. I love him. I'm going to support it. And then I was like, dude, I listened to the whole thing and I was just like cleaning Haley's elliptical. I was like breaking it down and I was like, I want to listen to another one. I was like, oh, first one. Obviously I can't listen to another one. Like it was legit good, man. You guys had like a good rhythm. Like usually shows take like a while and like audio sucks or their chemistry sucks or like something sucks for the first one. And I was legit impressed on your first one.
I would not advise anybody to go back and watch the first episode of this show. Don't do it. I might just take it down just to be safe.
Maybe the first 50.
Leave it up, man. Be brave. Be brave.
Was that it, Zach? Did you promote both things?
That's it. Propaganda report, banishedbybrother.com. That's it.
Heck yeah. Love it.
Sorry if I cut you off, man. I just wanted to tell you that I legit enjoyed it.
I enjoyed hearing that. So.
Awesome. Well, y'all, we're going to get to some funny videos. Not that one.
That was funny. And if you're,
So I used to be obsessed with Napoleon Dynamite, and this just was right on my alley.
20 years later, still haunted by crushed tots.
Give me some of your tots.
Dang! Now from a rider comes top protecting pants.
The tots.
I'll eat as many as I want to. Gosh, 20 years.
Napoleon Dynamite was like such a huge cultural thing when I was like in middle school, and I gotta be honest, I didn't understand it. I didn't hate it, I just didn't get it.
Dude, I loved it. Everybody called me Napoleon Dynamite because I was angry and talked like him. So.
It was great. When it came out, we had where I worked, the lady that answered the phones at the front, her name was Tina.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Eat your dinner. Gosh.
Yeah. And right around Christmas time, we're like, Tina, come get your ham. We got our honey baked ham.
I just remember the Liger. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Freaking Liger. Nice.
And is he hot?
All right. This next one is actually not a video. It's just a meme. Arby's makes meat-based vegetables to rival plant-based meat craze. They're making meat-based carrots to sell at Arby's.
Yep.
Damn it, I love this country. That is so funny. Dude, I don't even like Arby's, and I'm a fan of this just as a concept. Like,
Arby's is actually pretty good. I used to never eat there, and then my wife loves it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's gotten better.
And
like a long time ago, I ate Arby's and I got sick, and then I left myself a video message from the past to never do it again. But I didn't listen, and it was all right.
Oh man,
I probably still have it somewhere.
Final video of the night is the one that I think Steven will thoroughly enjoy if he hasn't seen it. It's Alex Jones's rant turned into a folk song.
I've had enough of these people.
Oh, Bob Iver.
They're a bunch of Christian murderers scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive. You're selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin, and they run around screaming, "We love Satan, we want to eat babies." I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man.
This sounds like Bon Iver. This is crazy.
She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur.
Alden, you're only the
vampire pot hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go.
The whole song is great. Bon Iver did that song.
Alden just said Bon Iver. You're only the second person I've ever heard say that, and the first guy was like straight up Kenyan. So I assumed he was wrong, but now I'm confused.
I thought his name was pronounced Bon Iver or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to make it fancy.
I always saw it like two separate words. That's why I'm saying it like that.
See, I didn't live in Georgia when I heard about him though, so maybe it's Bon Iver. You know, that's probably fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my gosh. All right, y'all. That'll do it for episode 81 of Liberty Libations. I will not be here next week, so it will be up to y'all to hold down the fort while I'm gone. It is my wife's birthday.
Anarchy, no host.
Anarchy, no host.
Host.
What I will say is the presidential debate is that night, so I expect y'all to cover the presidential debate. If not, just do a live commentary of the whole thing. So I think it starts at 9 p.m.
We should just mute the debate and just like ad-lib them.
That would work. People would love that. All right, y'all. That'll do it for this week. See y'all next week. Peace.